Hey, what's up, everyone? I'm Kieran Ranger.
I'm Jalen Granison.
I'm Tom Boucher.
We just want to take the time to welcome you all to our 2018 two-round NFL mock draft.
We try to put together a set of realistic picks to fill as many holes as possible. Each of us prepared as the GM of various NFL teams, making up the full 32.
So over the past few months, we've been looking over game tape, Senior Bowl, NFL scouting combine, NFL scouting reports, pro days, all that stuff to get the most accurate reports on all these players.
It's important to note that we don't know who was able to say what to who during the meetings and impress from that perspective. So while we are trying to accurately depict what's actually going to happen come the real NFL draft, really our main goal here is to improve every team's Super Bowl odds as best we can. So without further ado, let's get right into it. I'll be picking for the Bears, 49ers, Raiders, Packers, Cowboys, Lions, Titans, Super Bowl champion Eagles, Buccaneers, Seahawks, and the Jets.
I'll be picking for the Browns, Giants, Bills, Chargers, Falcons, Rise Up, Steelers, Jaguars, Saints, Dolphins, Bengals, and Rams, who don't have a first or second round pick because they traded it away.
And I'm covering the Broncos, Colts, Redskins, Cardinals, Ravens, Vikings, Pats, Chiefs, Panthers, and I'm going to cover the Houston Texans, but they don't have picks in the top two rounds either because of previous trades.
The first pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Cleveland Browns select quarterback Sam Darnold, USC. Sam Darnold automatically fills Cleveland's biggest need, which is quarterback. He is the safest quarterback in the draft. He has good size at 6'3", 221, and demonstrated elusiveness with his 6.96 three-cone drill. At times, he tried to do too much. There is a question mark about his excessive turnovers and will it carry on to his pro career. In my opinion, these turnovers are correctable, and at the end of the day, it's a no-brainer.
I mean, for me, Sam Darnold, yes, there's the turnovers. Like you said, I think it's correctable, but what really sold me, and I think what really sold the Browns, is that pro day he had in the pouring rain where he was able to come out in those unfortunate weather conditions and still deliver the ball accurately at all levels of the field. And I think that was when Cleveland really became sold that Sam Darnold was their guy.
Yeah, I agree. That, in my opinion, that day was the day they locked and loaded that pick and were determined to pick him as their franchise quarterback.
And I mean, they have Tyrod Taylor on the roster for this year, maybe next if they take the option. And I mean, he's known for holding onto the ball. So maybe someone good to study under right there. Maybe Darnold doesn't start the year there. Maybe doesn't play at all this year as a starting quarterback. But he's in a good place to learn to fix the few errors he does have.
Yeah, Tyrod can definitely help him out with his accuracy there.
And for the second pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills trade up with the New York Giants. The Bills select Josh Allen, quarterback, Wyoming. The Bills have a major need at quarterback. He has the best arm in the draft, so absolutely no concern with him throwing through the wind. QB with the highest ceiling in the draft, in my opinion. He is inconsistent with his throws. He doesn't take advantage of what the defense gives him and looks for the home run a little too much. He is the ultimate boomer bust.
I think with Josh Allen, the thing for him is that very few quarterbacks have come into the NFL and have had success while completing passes at under 60% during their college careers. So that's a knock against him. But what does work in his favor is that compared to all the other top quarterbacks, he's the one that spent significant amount of time in a pro-style offense, whereas all the others come from a spread. So that definitely is going to help his transition to the pro game.
I'm going to be honest, out of all the top four quarterbacks that are rumored to be going in this draft here, he'd be the one that I want to sit the most. I think he needs it the most to be able to develop those fundamentals he might be missing out on a bit, like the accuracy and stuff like that. But he for sure, I think, does have the highest ceiling. He can throw 70 yards from his knees. He's got that insane arm, insane size that you need in an NFL quarterback. So
he's got a loaded toolbox for sure, and I hope that AJ McCarron can play and that he can sit for a full season and he can develop.
The thing with Buffalo is that I don't think he'll sit. I think McCarron will struggle early, and they'll be pressured to put him in early, and it might just mess up his process and the development throughout his career. So,
as we like to say, that'll be their funeral.
Indeed.
With the third pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Josh Rosen, quarterback, UCLA. Now, when I look at Josh Rosen, to me, he's the most ready QB to come in and start day one. He's the most natural thrower. The ball comes out of his arm effortlessly as he makes throws at all three levels of the field. He was second in the country this season with 341 pass yards per game. My concern with him is he is a bit injury prone. He did sustain 2 concussions this year. And when I'm watching him and hearing him in interviews and talk to certain scouts, he does seem a little bit indifferent, like he doesn't want to be there, lacking in hunger. So if I'm Josh Rosen, as I'm completing up my meetings with teams right now, I'm going to take a page out of Baker Mayfield's book and show a bit of, confidence, a bit of hunger, like I really want to be there, and state my case as to be the number one quarterback off the board.
Well, I mean, the Jets traded up with the Colts to third to get a quarterback. I think they're going to be happy with who they managed to get here. He slides to 3. I think they're going to be very happy with that. I think Rosen himself is going to be happy. He's going to be able to play in the Big Apple. He wants to play in a big market. He's in maybe the biggest market of them all right now. So we'll see if he can handle that limelight. But he's got all the right tools.
I think it's a good fit. I think the question about his character and his attitude and whatnot, I think it's a bit overblown. Just because they have nothing to pick at. His game's pretty tight-knit, but the injuries are a concern, definitely. But that's to be determined, and we'll see what happens.
I think definitely maybe not the quarterback with the highest ceiling, because I think what you're seeing right now is to a certain degree what you're going to get, but I think he definitely has the safest floor.
Now with the 4th pick of the first round, the Cleveland Browns select Bradley Chubb, edge rusher, NC State. The best pass rusher doesn't get past Cleveland. He's a great complement to Myles Garrett. He significantly improves that defense automatically. Bradley Chubb was the winner of the Bronco Nagurski Trophy and also had the 2nd most tackles for loss. He's not as athletic as Myles Garrett, but he's a much more polished with his pass rush moves and his footwork.
I think, there was a report that most of us saw where we saw Hugh Jackson fantasizing about being able to pair Chubb and Myles Garrett, and I think in terms of that tough AFC North, getting after those quarterbacks, I think this would be a formidable pass rush duo that early on in their careers could combine for 20 sacks.
See, I'm going to be honest, I'm not as sold on Chubb as a lot of people are. I think the weak pass rush class overall is kind of boosting his stock a lot. He is a tremendous athlete though. He's going to be a fantastic run stopper for sure at the NFL level. I just don't know if he has the pass rushing ability, but being paired opposite of Myles Garrett's perfect for him, because Garrett's going to be getting the double teams. He's going to be doing all that heavy pass rushing work, so it'll really benefit.
Exactly.
It's going to go well.
Exactly. At the end of the day, if you don't get a great pass rusher, you get a great run stopper and an athletic one at that. So you can't get too many of those on your team. You get that across with Myles Garrett. Yeah. Great fit, in my opinion, and then their defense just takes a huge jump up after that pick.
Yeah, I think you went out and you added a lot of guys on offense with Jarvis Landry, Carlos Hyde, Tyrod Taylor coming over. But I think, this is you have nothing to lose in picking Chubb. And best case scenario, like I said earlier, I mean, you got a great pass rushing duo, which every team wants.
I mean, Hugh Jackson hasn't gotten many wins at Cleveland Browns, but he gets a win in landing who he really wants right now. So he's going to be happy.
Well said.
And the next pick is the Denver Broncos at 5, and they will select Saquon Barkley, running back out of Penn State. Barkley is the clear-cut best running back in this class, arguably the best player. He absolutely destroyed the combine, insane numbers in every single test. Some have called him the next LaDainian Tomlinson. He can impact the game in every aspect, the run, pass, blocking, return game. He can really do it all. Be a perennial all-pro, make it to many, many, many Pro Bowls. And he's just adding that much-needed relief to Case Keenum, which they're going to need.
Yeah, I think we don't really know to what degree Case Keenum is John Elway's guy, but I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and say that he is the guy, and as I think he should be, because I think he was really good with the Vikings last year. This is the all-time yards leader in NCAA history, despite going undrafted. And I think there's no better way to give him a soft landing than to land Saquon Barkley, who I think is a better overall prospect than both Leonard Fournette and Ezekiel Elliott, the top 2 running backs in the last 2 draft classes. So I think this is a huge win for the Broncos.
I agree. If you look at the past 3 drafts with running backs taken early, with Leonard and Zeke and even Todd Gurley, all 3 of those teams are in the playoffs now. Yeah. So, if you look at it in that way, I think he'll help them get over the hump.
Yeah, no, running backs are definitely going to come back, and it's showing in draft trends for sure.
Yeah, we've seen how much they can help a team, and the Broncos, even without Talib, they got a formidable defense. Von Miller's still there, arguably the best pass rusher in the game. They've still got some talented players, but offense, they're missing a few sparks, and Saquon can really help them there.
In that high-flying division that now has a Pat Mahomes, ultra-speedy offense, Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, and Derek Carr and the Raiders, John Gruden offense, I think you need to find a way to put a lot of points up on the board, and I think he helps them do that.
And with pick 6, the Indianapolis Colts select Quentin Nelson, offensive guard from Notre Dame. Colts, they just have to protect Andrew Luck. That's what it comes down to. He's supposed to be coming back this year. When he's healthy, he's one of the best in the game, and they just haven't done enough to protect him in his career so far. Nelson is the best lineman in this draft, hands down.
Yeah, I think with the Quentin Nelson pick, Jacoby Brissett took the most sacks in the NFL last season with 49, so offensive line still remains their biggest priority. I know that drafting offensive line, especially guards, in the first round hasn't always panned out. They haven't always performed as advertised, but I don't see that being the case with Quentin Nelson. Him and Mike McGlinchey really led a dominant rushing attack over there at Notre Dame, and to me, he's probably, I think, the safest and cleanest prospect to come out of this draft, so big win for the Colts.
Although the Colts do need to add talent to their defensive end positions, considering their recent transition from a 3-4 to a 4-3, and to mimic their prior success with Robert Mathis and Dwight Freeney, their main priority needs to be keeping Andrew Luck upright.
With the 7th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Minkah Fitzpatrick, safety, Alabama. Now, the key element to Minkah Fitzpatrick's game is versatility. He can play both safety spots, he can line up in the nickel, and even outside at corner. He's a very clean prospect. He's following in the footsteps of HaHa Clinton-Dix, Landon Collins, and Eddie Jackson, and going to add to a long line of successful Crimson Tide safeties. He's extremely competitive. He finds the football. He had 8 tackles for a loss in 2017 and 6 interceptions in 2016. He absolutely will come in and solidify Tampa Bay's secondary and will help them slow down Devin Funchess, Julio Jones, and Mike Thomas.
I'm not too sure with him playing corner, since the last time he did play corner in 2015, he was burnt by Hunter Renfrow, a 2-star prospect on the Clemson Tigers. But since making the change to safety, he did improve immensely and is definitely a top prospect in this draft. And I could see him filling a big void in Tampa Bay in a division that includes immense talent at receiver.
I think Tampa is going to go out this year and do the right thing and play him at safety, which is his most natural position, as we've been saying. I think they addressed their pass rush need in trading for Jason Pierre-Paul from the Giants to play opposite Noah Spence. I think their linebacking core is phenomenal with Quan Alexander and Levante David. And I think for now they're going to get by at corner with Vernon Hargreaves and Brent Grimes, who they just brought back on a 1-year deal. Corner definitely is a need, but in a deep corner class, they'll be able to address that in the next couple rounds. So for me, safety is their biggest priority round 1. They go out there and they get Minkah Fitzpatrick. Huge win.
With the 8th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Marcus Davenport, edge, University of Texas San Antonio. This to me is the second best pass rusher in the draft. I see him being able to play both as a defensive end in a 4-3 scheme or as an outside linebacker in a 3-4 scheme. So he comes in here in their 3-4 and plays outside linebacker opposite Leonard Floyd, helps to generate a much-needed pass rush to get after Matthew Stafford, Aaron Rodgers, and a newly added Kirk Cousins to the division. He was very disruptive this past season with 8.5 sacks and 17.5 tackles for loss, albeit while playing against lesser competition at University of Texas San Antonio and Conference USA, one of the weaker Division I FBS conferences. He had a great Senior Bowl performance, however, with a sack, a fumble recovery, and a pass deflection, and he tested extremely well at the Combine. While measuring 6'6" and weighing in at 264 pounds, he was able to run a 4.58, which was the fastest time for all edge rushers.
Meanwhile, Ryan Pace last year, he trades up to get Mitch Trubisky. He gives him some weapons this offseason. Now he's going to add to that defense there. Because bottom line, you got to get to those quarterbacks. There's great quarterbacks in that division. Yeah. And if you want to make the playoffs, you got to win the division pretty much. So exactly. It's going to be a good pick for them, big pick for them if it pans out.
Yeah, he's an extremely raw player. Like, you could tell that on his film, he doesn't really know what he's doing a lot of the time. But once he gets that coaching, for sure, he has the athletic ability to become a premier pass rusher in this league.
And I think what was good is, as Tom said, definitely the Bears brought in a lot of firepower on offense, but they also re-signed Prince Mukamara to a 1-year deal and signed Kyle Fuller to a long-term deal while having Adrian Amos and Eddie Jackson playing safety with an elite duo there. So I think the secondary is looking really good. The rest of the front seven is in good shape. So I think the only real big need on defense is a pass rusher. I'm talking immediate need, a guy that comes in and plays right away as a pass rusher to play opposite Leonard Floyd. Again, just like we talked about with Chubb and Garrett, I think this could be a really formidable, good young pass rushing duo in a division where pass rushing is much needed. With the 9th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select Tremaine Edmonds, linebacker, Virginia Tech. To me, this is the best linebacker in the class, well only being 19 years old. Best case for San Fran, Reuben Foster manages to clean up his off-field act and remains in San Francisco, so they got a great duo of linebackers there with Edmonds and Foster. Worst case, though, same old continues, and unfortunately he doesn't remain with the team. Enter Tremaine Edmonds, who at that point would be even more so needed. Edmonds had 109 combined tackles, 6 sacks, 2 pass deflections, and 3 forced fumbled in 2017. To me, when I turn on the tape, he's like a heat-seeking missile with the football in his sights. This could be a guy that they might want to start at will, but I think he could ultimately develop into a Mike linebacker if needed. He has a rare combination of size and speed. It's very difficult to find a pro comp for him, but to me, this is a clear-cut future pro ball player.
Look, Edmonds, he has maybe the best physical traits out of any player in this entire draft. He's just an athletic freak right there. There's a few issues in terms of decision making, and he's so raw, this guy. But with the right coaching, I think he's honestly going to become the best, easily the best defensive player in this draft. Maybe the best player to come out of it. I think he's going to be a perennial All-Pro here, make many Pro Bowls, maybe even a Hall of Fame type player. He has that potential easily.
If he lines up with Reuben Foster, that would be very scary. This upcoming season, along with that defensive line.
Line, yeah.
It's I don't know, like it'll be scary.
Yeah,
and then their offense with Kyle Shanahan, I don't know, they might be, and Jimmy G, they might be cooking something.
Yeah, they might be able to challenge right off the bat and try and take home the NFC West crown. Definitely their defensive line is built on first-round picks with DeForest Buckner, Eric Armstead, and Solomon Thomas last season, and they were able to bring in Richard Sherman and add to their secondary. So I think definitely linebacker, if you come out here and you get Edmonds and Reuben Foster is able to clean up the act and stay there on the team, that's a Legion of Boom type defense right there.
Exactly.
I mean, yeah, if you look at that just division, just the offense in that division, you're going to need another guy like that.
Yeah.
If they keep Reuben Foster, great. It's a win-win right there. Like you said, best case scenario.
Yeah.
But if you add them both, that's just going to add so many headaches to every offensive coordinator in that division.
Yeah,
Yeah,
sure.
especially to compete with the Rams. The Rams just went and acquired Brandon Cooks. They got Todd Gurley out there. Jared Goff is getting better every year. They're going to need some firepower on that defense, definitely.
100%. With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Roquan Smith, linebacker, Georgia. Now, while John Gruden, who's coming in as the head coach for the first time this season, is known as an offensive-minded coach and might want to get a guy on offense, I look at their offense and it's actually quite complete. But the defense needs to get better at all levels. And Mark Davis, the current owner, just like his father Al Davis, loves speed all the time. So to me, Roquan Smith is a guy that's very reminiscent of Deion Jones, who ran a 4.59 coming out of LSU a couple years ago. He's now with the Falcons. Smith was able to run a 4.51 at the Combine. Very similar in playing style. This is a new age type linebacker. He was the winner of the Butkus Award this year in 2017 for the nation's best linebacker. In my opinion, he's most suited to play will, chasing plays backside and not getting swallowed up by bigger blockers. And with Bruce Irvin at Sam and newly acquired Tahir Whitehead from the Lions to play Mike, that's a natural fit for him. That would form a really dominant linebacker group to slow down Kareem Hunt and Melvin Gordon. Smith was 5th in the nation this year with 137 combined tackles.
Yeah, he's perfect. He's a perfect fit at what they call the money linebacker, the money backer spot now that the Cardinals made popular with Deion Buchanan, first switching from safety to middle linebacker. But yeah, him playing in there, he might have a hard time taking on blocks, but if you put him, like you said, like at will, that's perfect for him. He's able to chase down the backside of a stretch play, able to blitz weak side off on pass plays. It's a perfect situation for him.
Yeah.
I mean, his one issue is just the size. Like you said, he might get swallowed up by some blocks there, but he reads the play so well. He's got all those measurables. He's just going to be a great player. Right now, I think he's a better linebacker than Edmonds. He's got a lower ceiling just because of his size there, but he's going to be a great. Oakland needs guys on defense. It's that simple.
For sure.
He's got that edge to edge speed there. He's going to be good fit.
I think, Deion Jones, when he was picked a couple years ago by the Falcons in the second round, we weren't used to seeing linebackers like that, so that was considered a bit of a reach. But when you look at the amount of success he's had over his last 2 seasons with the Falcons, I think that kind of paves the way for a guy like Roquan to come in and be a top 10 pick and come in and start right away for the Raiders and have a lot of success.
Yeah, I mean, the new game is built off speed, right? And he's got some speed there, and that's he reads the play well enough to make up for any lack in size. So
Yep.
He's going to be a good player.
So with the 11th pick of the first round, the Miami Dolphins select Baker Mayfield, quarterback, Oklahoma. He had exceptional production during his time in Oklahoma. One of the most accurate QBs in the draft, if not the most accurate QB. I think his lack of size is a little bit overblown, and he will surprise many of his doubters down the line.
Yeah, I think Baker, I mean, obviously you have some pretty varying opinions on him. Some call him cocky, some call him confident. I think there's some lazy analysts that comp him to Johnny Manziel. I don't really see that at all, but I think undeniably he was able to put up video game-like numbers at Oklahoma. And I think, as you said, I mean, I think a lot of people are overblowing the size. If he was 2 inches taller, I think he'd be the first quarterback off the board in this draft.
Yeah, based off his arm and how he reads and plays the game, he's going to be very good. I think he has to build the right support structure there, just because the team's going to want to make sure he has that. They don't want to risk another Manziel situation, Ryan Leaf type situation. Just there, but he has if he keeps his head right, could be the best quarterback in this draft.
And I mean, I think we have to talk a little about Ryan Tannehill here. Obviously, he's working his way back from a knee injury, but I think with what I'm seeing in Miami and the way Adam Gase is just shipping players out of here, this really feels like a fresh start scenario. There's holes all over the team offensively and defensively. I don't think no matter who they add, they're going to be a contender this season. This feels to me, although it isn't officially that on paper, like a bit of a rebuild situation where they're kind of putting a roster reset in here and getting rid of a lot of guys that don't fit the system that Adam Gase wants. Because, I mean, if you look at all the stars they've gotten rid of, Jarvis Landry, Jay Ajayi, Ndamukong Suh, these are all guys that have left. Julius Thomas, who got cut. These are all guys that have left in the last, 365 days, the last year. So to me, this is kind of a rebuilding process. They brought Brock Osweiler in to come be the backup for whoever's the starter, and I think Baker Mayfield just starts the rebuilding process for them.
I mean, the Jay Cutler experiment obviously did not work.
Yeah, he should have stayed in the booth.
Yeah, agreed. So they need a quarterback here. Even if Tannehill does come back, he's a good quarterback, but I don't know if he's the guy that can.
He never fully made that leap.
Yeah, he's a good starting quarterback, but he's not that. I don't think he's that guy that can lead you to a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we've never seen much from Tannehill so far.
Yeah.
I think he was about to take that leap, that jump, but then unfortunately tore his ACL. But now, how the NFL works, it's not for long, and they're trying to move on and trying to win fast. So
I agree.
Now with the 12th pick of the first round, the New York Giants via the Buffalo Bills select linebacker Leighton Vander Esch, Boise State. Vander Esch fills a vacancy at will linebacker. The Giants have nobody there. Only 1 year starting experience is the question that many have, but he has impeccable size at 6'4", 256 with good speed with a 4.65 that he ran at the combine. He's an absolute tackling machine with Luke Kuechly-like instincts, and he scrapes from side to side just like Luke Kuechly as well.
Yeah, I think when we were talking about Edmonds and Smith, those guys are obviously a little bit more athletic, but the thing about Vander Esch is he comes in, and I think he's the only one of those guys that can start at inside linebacker right away. They're going to put him at will here, but I think they have the flexibility of being able to move him all around their linebacking core. Yes, there was only 1 year of high production, but in that year it was really, really high production, flying to the football on every play. I really think this guy is going to be also a guy, this is a future all-pro player. I really like what I see when I turn on the tape.
I mean, he's compared to Luke Kuechly, right? If they can get someone half as good as Luke Kuechly, the Giants are going to be happy there.
For sure.
They have a need, and some people might call it a bit of a reach, but just based off the need, based off the linebacker depth in this draft there, I think it makes sense. They got a bunch of extra picks in that trade, so they obviously have lots of holes to fill, but they can fill those up with the other picks there. So I think it works out.
Definitely, you're talking about the linebacking group in this draft. I think after the first 4 or 5 guys, there's a huge drop-off. I'm talking non-edge rush, non-pass rushing outside linebackers, but really actual inside-outside linebackers. After the first 4 or 5 guys, after about Malik Jefferson, who's my 5th guy, there's a huge drop-off in the talent there, and you're not getting a guy before the 4th round, in my opinion. I think... Yeah.
If you're at 12 and your guy is there, you got to take him at the end of the day.
Okay, with pick 13, the Washington Redskins select Vita Vea, defensive tackle out of Washington. Well, this guy, he can play anywhere in the front three. Redskins, they have serious needs at the position. They allow league worst 134 rushing yards per game to opponents. Vita Vea, he's going to help fill that hole. He's going to help stop those runs. He's compared to Haloti Ngata, who has been one of the best defensive tackles of the past generation. Great strength and size. He's a raw prospect, but does have a very high ceiling. Great measurables. I think it's a perfect fit for the Redskins. They're happy to land him here.
Yeah, I think when you're in doubt, like you said, there's a lot of holes on that team. But when you're in doubt, build up the trenches.
Yeah.
And when you allow the league worst 134 rushing yards, that all starts with your defensive tackle, your nose tackle, your plug right there in the middle. So I think this is a no-brainer for sure.
Exactly, I agree. He's that plug for that team. Zach Brown kind of struggled last year because they didn't have that presence inside.
Yeah.
Vita Vea is going to be able to take on those double teams and free up Zach Brown in those windows to make those tackles for loss, especially in a division with Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, for sure. With the 14th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Denzel Ward, cornerback, Ohio State. This is an absolute dream scenario for the Cheeseheads. He's the clear-cut number one cover corner in the draft. This allows the Packers to address their number one offseason need, which was cornerback. Muhammad Wilkerson and Jimmy Graham came over in free agency to fill some other needs, but with Mike Pettin coming in and being their new defensive coordinator, he has the opportunity to come in with Ward and transform the defense year one. Ward was compared by NFL.com to Chris Harris, another smaller corner who's definitely one of the elite cover guys in the league. He can come in and he can play corner opposite Kevin King, who was their first pick in last year's draft. He's following in Marshawn Lattimore's footsteps for sure out of Ohio State with the success he was able to have as a round one corner last year. He ran a 4.32 and jumped 39 inches for his vertical and 136 inches for his broad, so he tested extremely well. He's got the speed and the athleticism you need to man up against opposite teams' number one receivers, and he now has the task of slowing down Stephon Diggs, Adam Thielen, Allen Robinson, Marvin Jones, and Golden Tate in a division that's extremely loaded at the wide receiver position. This is, like I said, a dream scenario for the Packers.
Agreed. Like you said, that division is stacked with wide receivers, so the Packers are going to need to get a corner eventually that's able to lock all of those guys down. And in my opinion, that's their biggest weakness on their team is right now is cornerback for sure. We haven't seen what Kevin King can do too much so far, but if you go get a top tier guy like that, I think it improves their defense and their team overall's potential at success.
I mean, they could select a guy in later rounds, but right now they have the pick of all the true corners available, and they land, I guess, arguably the best corner in this draft. So it's going to be a great fit for them. They gotta stop the opposing receivers. Just the Vikings are 3 receivers deep. Like you need more than one guy. Yeah. So.
And I mean, Denzel Ward is not to be mistaken with a guy like Josh Jackson. He's not a tall, off-ball zone corner. This is a shorter, athletic guy that has the speed and the athleticism to man up against a team's number one wideout. Kevin King, on the opposite, who came out of Washington last year, is that tall, rangier corner that can impact in the zone game a little bit more. But you need a guy that can come in and lock up a team's opposite receiver and get left on an island out there.
Yeah, having the luxury of just locking a guy up on one side, not having to worry about him most of the game. It does an extreme. It helps the defense coordinator tremendously. Who's the new defense coordinator? Mike Pettin. Yeah. He's gonna have a blast with this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, there are maybe some pass rush needs there, but if you hold up the receivers, it gives lots of time for those edge rushers to get the quarterback. So.
No, for sure there's a need there at pass rush behind Clay, who's not getting any younger, but at the same time, this is a guy that can come in and not play rotationally, but actually starts, which is where they need him. Right now they have Tramon Williams there, who's 35. He had a really good season. According to PFF last season, he was a 7th-ranked corner, but at the same time, he's 35. So that's a bit of a bridge signing, and also a guy that's just meant to kind of give some veteran leadership to the younger guys there.
Exactly.
With the next pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Louisville. Well, he's the best available quarterback at this spot here. The Cardinals, I'm sure they would love to trade up to maybe draft one of the other guys in the top 4 or 5 picks there, but they just don't have the draft capital at the moment. They'd have to really dig into the following year and maybe next 2 years to trade all the way up. So it just doesn't work out, doesn't make sense. But they still land the 2016 Heisman winner right here, who's an explosive playmaker, potentially Mike Vick 2.0. If he's put in the right system, he can really thrive and be one of the best in the league. Maybe another Deshaun Watson here, falling to 15 mid-round. See what we can do. And Sam Bradford, good quarterback, but he just isn't the answer. He's injured every season, it seems. So just not a long-term solution. So giving Lamar a full year hopefully to study under Bradford. It's just a great scenario for them.
So I mean, Bradford 2 seasons ago with the Vikings led the NFL in completion percentage with 71.6%. So I think, you know, when we're looking at Lamar Jackson and his accuracy being the biggest issue, I think this is a really good guy to learn from. He can help him with his footwork and with his accuracy. And I also think that if you're the Cardinals and you're drafting Lamar Jackson, much like you said with Deshaun Watson and what Bill O'Brien did, you're buying into who Lamar Jackson is, and you're building your offense around him. You're not forcing Lamar Jackson to play the type of way you want him to play. You know, you're gonna run some options, some run pass option. You're gonna do the things that benefit his skill set the most. Yeah. So they have to be ready to buy into that if they're gonna go get him. But I like the pick for sure.
Yeah, I think guys are just overlooking Lamar Jackson. His production was insane in 2016 and 2017. He was actually better in 2017 than his Heisman year, but guys were just they're accustomed to seeing what he did and kind of like acted like it was normal. I think guys are also I'm surprised that guys are scared to take Lamar too. Like just like last year with
Deshaun Watson.
You guys said Deshaun Watson. People were kind of skeptical. Like he could have won number 1, number 2, number 3, but he slipped, and he ended up being one of the best quarterbacks in the league. And last year, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but the potential for that to happen is there. So guys being scared to take him at 15, I think that's a good fit for them, and I think he has the potential to explode like Deshaun Watson did.
I mean, he's the biggest playmaker out of all the quarterbacks right now, and pair him up with David Johnson. What can they do there? That's a scary prospect. Offensive coordinator's dream right there. So it's going to be interesting.
You know, and I think the whole sort of the off season when with the combine and the pro days, that's not the type of process, especially when he opts not to run his 40, that's going to benefit someone like Lamar Jackson the best, because we know he has to work on his accuracy. We know he has to work on his footwork. So we turn on the combine tape and he doesn't look natural dropping back. Well, he didn't drop back at Louisville. Yeah. So give him the time to develop and allow him to also use his skills. And I think it's much like Deshaun Watson. I think he's going to have a lot of success.
Yeah. With pick 16, the Baltimore Ravens select Mike McGlinchey, offensive tackle at Notre Dame. So the Ravens got a choice alignment to go at right now outside of Quentin Nelson, and they go with the Notre Dame boy to pair him up with a fellow alumnus, Ronnie Stanley, who they drafted very recently. He's better suited at right tackle, which is a good fit for the Ravens, so they got Stanley at left tackle there, so it's an optimal spot. Ravens need offensive line help. They got Marshall Yanda and Stanley. Outside of that, there's some holes to fill. If you believe in Joe Flacco or not, or Collins as their running back, the other way, they need to open up holes. They need to provide protection there. So it's a great fit. He's got good technique, but needs to add some strength to his play.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's no surprise. Baltimore's defense was fantastic last year. It was really what allowed them to have even some success and actually almost make the playoffs. But personally, I don't believe in Joe Flacco. But you know, I don't think
some call him elite. I don't know.
I think he's one of the worst guys that's considered a franchise quarterback. But we're not really going to get into that right now. In terms of what's best for Baltimore, obviously they went out. They added Michael Crabtree. They have a somewhat impressive stable of running backs with Alex Collins, probably a guy like Kenny Dixon that might be able to come back this year and give some juice to the passing game as a PPR guy. They're lacking in tight ends, but they'll be able to pick that up second or third round. So I think definitely Mike McGlinchey comes in, fills a need, and no matter who the quarterback is, no matter who the running back is, it's just going to make their job easier. So, you know, for sure, this to me is the second best lineman in the draft after Quentin Nelson. Ironically, they both come from Notre Dame.
I mean, even if you don't believe in Joe Flacco, then you got to definitely give him protection, right? So the more time he has, the better there. So with Stanley and McGlinchey pairing, that's a tackle pairing for a long time.
It's an elite pairing at tackle for sure.
To me, the Ravens are just a boring team. So whoever they take at this point doesn't really change their team that much, in my opinion. Take a receiver, they always seem like they're turning in the same circle. They have a good defense, sure, but
I mean, I think ultimately in the next couple of years, you are going to see major changes in Baltimore, and they're going to change that, and they're going to be more successful. But for now, with how good that defense was, they were in a position to compete last year. So let's just help complete the offense, and maybe they get the job done.
At this point, you have to take offensive linemen, right?
Yeah.
But for that change to happen, like you said, I think the quarterback is going to have to change eventually.
Yeah, for sure. Eventually, I 100% agree.
Just gotta start liking those 10-7 games there, Jay. They're
oh boy, I'm giving him one more year.
Nice defensive matchups.
One more year to prove it, and then he's out.
I wrote him off a while ago. Anyways,
so for the 17th pick of the first round, The Los Angeles Chargers select Derwin James, safety, Florida State. Right here we got a big steal. He's a top 10 talent. We're getting him at 17 right here. He has great speed, ran a 4.48 at the combine. Tremendous position flexibility. Played free safety, strong safety, linebacker, nickel cornerback. Basically everyone on the defense could plug and play him. He has good size with the ability to play man on tight ends and slot receivers, which is huge. So you could be able to X out one of those inside guys, especially a tall tight end like Gronkowski. But he'll be playing center field for the Chargers secondary, since that's their only need, which is at free safety.
Like we said, obviously, there's two teams in LA now, the Rams and the Chargers, and the Rams went out and added about as much star talent as I've ever seen in an offseason. So if you're the Chargers, you can't afford to get off to a slow start like you did last season in terms of gaining fans and like gaining the respect of the city of Los Angeles. Yeah. So to me, what they're missing back end, well, they have some great cover guys like Jaleel Adai and
Jason Verrett,
Casey Hayward. I think that Derwin James comes in with that Cam Chancellor mentality, enforcer mentality, starts smacking people around and garners some more respect for the team in terms of a physical team as they are up front in their front seven.
Yeah. They just need to stay healthy. If they can stay healthy, I could see them going playoffs, conference championship. Yeah, they have a very talented team around them.
Yeah, that slow start cost them last year, but I know still does not have a ring. They want to get him a ring. He wants a ring. He's still good. They got some weapons on offense there for sure. One of the best receivers, great running back. Yeah, exactly.
Bosa and Ingram.
They're missing out. This could be a piece that helps them put them over the top.
I think this is a super complete football team that's talented on all phases, and I think this not only is a great player in terms of him falling value-wise, but this is a perfect fit for them.
Agreed.
With the 18th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Seattle Seahawks select Isaiah Wynn, offensive guard, Georgia. I think there's two quarterbacks in the NFL, Russell Wilson and Matthew Stafford, that are asked to do the most by their teams for that team to have success. So let's get Russell Wilson some help. Enter Isaiah Wynn. He helped pave the way for a very successful Bulldogs rushing attack last year with Nick Chubb and Sonny Michel. He has experience playing both left guard and left tackle. In this case, he'd come in and play left guard, and they'd have an extremely strong left side of their line. There are other holes along the line. There are holes on defense now, but to me, Isaiah Wynn, let's build up that offensive line and finally give Russell Wilson the help that he deserves.
Look, I mean, this isn't the Seahawks team that we saw a few years ago. They're not a Super Bowl winning team anymore. Russell Wilson's still great. They have holes on defense, like you said now, but if you protect Russell Wilson, he can win you games by himself. Yeah. That's how good he is. He's probably the most elusive quarterback in the game right now. Look, he puts up great numbers without getting any protection. Just imagine what he can do when he doesn't have to run around for 30 seconds before he throws a ball.
Yeah.
Again, I think this is a no-brainer. Russell Wilson's been running around for the past 5 years. Yeah. They haven't helped him at all. So they've been trading down and getting corners and defensive linemen and whatnot. Now I think it's time to protect their franchise quarterback. Yeah. And see what he could do with some help on the offensive line.
Yeah, and I mean, I think this team really lost their identity when Marshawn Lynch left. They were based off being a dominant defense and running the football extremely well, and then Russell Wilson then having the opportunity in play action to do what he had to do with Doug Baldwin and some other guys. But the reality is they don't have those guys anymore. So the best way for them to get back there, other than by selecting a running back, which I think they will ultimately do in this draft, is by building up that offensive line and sort of replicating that same style of play that they had those Super Bowl years.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
With the 19th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Calvin Ridley, wide receiver, Alabama. Now, practically all of Dallas's front office was in attendance at Alabama's pro day. This could mean one of two guys at this point, Rashaan Evans or Calvin Ridley. Ridley, to me, is the guy that can come in and be the heir to Des Bryant and a reliable target for Dak Prescott for years to come. He was highly underutilized in the Crimson Tide offense. That's a running-based offense, but he's by far the best route runner in this class with tremendous footwork. You see him, and he's wide open when he catches the ball by 10, 15 yards because of his route running ability. With coaching, I think his best football is ahead of him, especially at the combine. I noticed that he has a tendency to go 100% full speed all the time. That's not really what running routes is always about. It's about timing and acceleration and using those to your advantage. So like I said, I think he's a future game changer, and his best football is ahead of him. I think he'd be a great Dallas Cowboy.
I agree. In my opinion, he's the best route runner in the draft, and he would have been a top 10 pick had it not been for a poor vertical jump and I think shuttle time, which I don't think makes a huge difference for the way he plays the game, because the way he does it, he's not a guy who's going to win the jump balls or whatnot. He's going to get open with his precise routes. During the season, on his curl routes, he was a 94%, I think 94.7% completion percentage on his core routes.
I mean,
Comebacks.
that's one of the tougher routes to run.
Exactly. His comebacks are 100%. So that just shows that once he gets in and out of his breaks, it's automatic like that.
Yeah.
He was also 92%. I think a 92% the catch completion percentage against zone coverage. So that shows he knows how to sit the zone and where to sit it.
Find the soft spot.
Exactly. He understands how zone defenses work and where to go, almost like a quarterback. So I think that translates automatically to NFL right away.
Yeah.
Calvin really can be this guy. He's got all the physical attributes needed to be a wide receiver one in this league. So
I mean, I'm not really, I like the signing, but I'm not really buying Alan Hearns coming in and being that guy. Calvin really evolves pretty quickly into, the number one receiver on the team that soaks up all the targets in the open field.
Yeah, that receiving core desperately needs some dose of speed. Alan Hearns is now no faster than 4.55. Who knows what Beasley runs. They definitely need some speed to help their quarterback out.
Another guy, Terrence Williams, too, has not really panned out, has not done more than make a couple plays every season.
Yeah, and then you got Jason Witten, who's probably like 40 years old right now.
Yeah.
He's a legend, but at a certain point, you need guys who could get it downfield and make plays for you.
I mean, especially with Hearns' injury history as well. Like, you can't even bank everything on him being a long-term guy. Like, you never know what's going to happen with him. So,
I think you have a really good core group of guys in Zeke and in Dak in that offensive line to be a dominant offense for the years to come. But like you said, at the skill positions, they have to get younger and faster.
Yeah.
We saw it when Zeke was suspended for 6 games last season. Yeah. Dak Prescott's success absolutely plummeted during that span because, he just wasn't getting any help.
Yeah. Part of it was on Dak, but most of it, I think, was on the fact that he wasn't getting any help on the outside. The guys are getting locked up. What can you do?
Yeah.
I mean, that line's going to give him time to do what he has to do. It's going to be, I think, a good fit. They need weapons. Like you said, with Zeke out, they did nothing. They need weapons there. So,
perfect fit.
With the 20th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Darius Geis, running back, LSU. Now, Matthew Stafford was sacked the second most in 2017, taking 47 sacks. And like I said earlier, much like Russell Wilson, he's someone that's asked to do way too much in order for his team to have success. So normally you'd look at a guy taking a high amount of sacks like that and you think, let's bolster the O-line. But the reality is the O-line, aside from a hole at left guard, is actually in really good shape. But Stafford, having played in 124 career games, has only had a 100-yard rusher 7 times. Reggie Bush was the last to do it in 2013. That's not even worth comparing to the next worst team in that category because it's just in a category of its own. So to me, enter Darius Geis, the draft class second best 3-down running back. He has a violent running style, very reminiscent of Marshawn Lynch, constantly punishing tacklers. He averaged 6.5 yards per carry during his LSU career. He only has 32 career receptions at LSU, and although I think he's better than the numbers show, the Lions already have Theo Riddick, who excels in that role. So I think Darius Geis comes in and helps transform a current weakness, which is the run game, into a strength for the Lions.
Look, no one fears Amir. I'm sorry. He's not that guy. With all due respect, he's a good running back, but he's not good enough to really help a team enough.
You don't game plan for him.
No.
Yeah, the Lions need someone to help Stafford.
They're slowly closing the book on 2 former first rounders, Amir Abdullah and Eric Ebron, who they let go in free agency. I love Golden Tate and Marvin Jones as a wide receiver duo, but Stafford needs help and needs to be able to run the football in that cold NFC North.
Yeah, I like the pick. He's definitely a guy who can run first down and second down, and you throw in Theo Riddick out there on third down if you can't get the job done, and it's a perfect fit. But I don't think he's as good as guys think he is, but he's good enough to go in the first round and get the job done for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, I mean, to me, you can make an argument as to who's the second best guy after Barkley. To me, it's him, but I can definitely see the argument being made for some other guys, like a guy like Chubb, Sonny Michel, Kerryon Johnson, Ronald Jones. It's a really deep running back class. Exactly. So there's a lot of guys, but to me, Detroit's done messing around, and they need to give Stafford some help, so let's get our guy.
It's definitely the right pick for them.
Yeah.
I mean, look, if you know you don't have to stack the box, they're just going to add more guys in coverage. They're going to be shut down Marvin Jones, shut down all those receivers there. Like, with a guy like Geis in there, they have to commit an extra person or 2 in that box. So even just give Stafford more time, give the receivers more time, more space to run into. And like I said, he could be a 3-down back if need be. Even if he doesn't have that catching ability, you got a guy in there that can do that. So for sure, it's a perfect fit.
Now with the 21st pick of the first round, the Cincinnati Bengals select James Daniels, center / guard, Iowa. He's a versatile athlete that can play both guard and center. Bengals arguably had the worst O-line in all of football last year. They have a rookie running back in Joe Mixon that is very talented, but he's going to need some help to get some holes open so we can see his true ability. Yeah, basically they can use all the help they can get at O-line, so this pick makes perfect sense to me.
I mean, to me, you look Dalton, AJ Green, Tyler Eifert, who they brought back on the cheap in free agency, and Joe Mixon. It has the makings to be one of the most explosive offenses in football, but Andy Dalton didn't have the pass protection he needed. Like you said, I think it was a bottom 3 offensive line last season, after letting a lot of guys go in free agency the year before. So to me, James Daniels, the best pivot, the guy that can play guard and center. So let's come in, let's kind of get 2 for the price of 1 type thing, and we'll play him where we need to play him. And I think this is a no-brainer for the Bengals for sure.
I mean, I don't personally believe in the Red Rocket, but open up some holes there for Joe Mix. Let him just run it down their throat. And if not, Daniels there's going to provide a bit of extra time for Dalton to just throw that up to AJ Green, and he can beat any corner in the league pretty much on his day. So
I'm not entirely sold on him either, but with the talent around him, we're not going to know whether or not he's the guy until he gets the protection he needs. So let's give him an opportunity to be that guy. If he's not, he's not. AJ McCarron, they shipped him out. I think let's give him the opportunity to be that guy. Let's give him the protection he needs. And, obviously it's a tough division to play in with Baltimore and Pittsburgh, and now Cleveland has had a lot of players, but let's give him everything he needs to have success.
Yeah, see, make or break season for Andy Dalton now, especially if they give him some protection, which we think they're going to do.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. With the 22nd pick of the first round, the New York Giants, via trade with the Bills, select Will Hernandez, guard, UTEP. Like the Bengals, the Giants desperately need to revamp their O-line. Will Hernandez is a day 1 starter. He's very thick. He has exceptional strength with 37 reps at the bench press. He has impressive movement skills for his size. He ran a 5'1" 40-yard dash at 350 pounds. The only knock on him would be his short arms. In pass pro, he might get beat here and there on the inside moves to guys with long arms. But other than that, he's a pretty solid guy to throw in there for the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants, they lost Weston Richburg and Justin Pugh to free agency, both guys. Eric Flowers has been a huge bust so far over the last couple of years. They did add Nate Solder to play tackle, but there remains about 3 or 4 other holes along that offensive line, depending on how you view Flowers. So I think at this point for the Giants, after having gone defense with their first pick that they acquired via the Bills in our mock trade, I think it's got to be O-line. You're probably going to see a double dip in the second round as well.
That offense is so talented. The offensive line is just holding them back right now. Yeah. You got Odell, you got one of the best young tight ends in the league, in Evan Ingram, Sterling Shepard, and in our mock we have him taking in another weapon down the line. So if they can get that line right, I think Eli still has a couple more years to play above average quarterback level, and if that could happen, maybe they can make a little run.
Look, I mean, they were absolutely decimated by injuries last year. Every side of the ball, they got major guys hurt. I don't think talent-wise they're the second worst team in the league, which is what their record says. So just they can stay healthy. They added these few pieces. They like we said before with that trade, they got a bunch of extra picks here, so they can bring in lots of guys that can start or be in the rotation there. So they could provide lots of support there. And like I said, Eli, he's got a couple of years left in him. So
I think every year, yes, the Eagles were able to win the Super Bowl last year, but every year the NFC East is a very competitive division where, especially in the divisional games, they usually come down to the wire where every team has an opportunity to win. And now Pat Shurmur's in town, who was the offensive coordinator for the Vikings last season. He's come over and as the Giants head coach. I think, like you said, I think if they can improve that line and only even become middle of the pack, I think with how talented they are in that offense, they have an ability definitely to make a playoff run for sure.
Yeah.
With pick number 23 in the 2018 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Connor Williams, offensive tackle, Texas. Look, the Patriots, they lost Nate Solder. They have some serious O-line needs there. There's other holes on defense or even offense. They got wide receiver now with trading Brandon Cooks. But they want to protect Tom Brady. He's got another few years at the top. Bill Belichick's going to be there for another few years too, people are saying. So they got a chance at a couple more rings right now, but they got to keep Tom Brady on his feet. Connor Williams is going to help with that a lot. They're unsure whether he's going to play tackle or guard. I think he's going to end up being a tackle, but I think he's going to be a long-time starter in the league. Plays angry every snap, and he has a smooth footwork, good hands, and a leader. Lacks a bit of length.
Yeah, Tom Brady in his entire career with the Patriots has only had 2 blindside left tackles play, Nate Solder and Matt Light. So we need to have kind of a seamless transition there with Connor Williams coming in. I think, BPA in terms of the O-line soon after shipping out Brandon Cooks. They have a lot of picks. They're going to be able to add talent on offense and defense in the second round. So let's get an O-lineman and, help keep Tom Brady upright.
I mean, look, they have 2 first-round picks now, 2 second-round picks because of the Jimmy Garoppolo trade.
Yeah.
So they got lots of picks here to bring in people, but just keep Tom Brady on his feet, keep the next quarterback they have there after Tom Brady on his feet, because when Josh McDaniels is, we imagine, going to be the new head coach there once Bill is gone, he's going to want to protect that quarterback for sure. He's gone. Yeah. So it's just even if he doesn't play tackle, he's going to play guard.
Either way, for
he's
sure.
He's going to be a big guy. Good pick.
Yeah. Well, basically, if they don't go O-line here, then they're basically admitting to wanting to sabotage Tom Brady, because who else is going to play tackle for them? They didn't sign anybody. They're going to pick someone in the second round. Who are they going to pick in the second round? So I think it's a no-brainer again. Yeah. You have to go tackle.
With pick 24, the Carolina Panthers select Josh Jackson, cornerback, Iowa. Okay, well, look, the Panthers, they need someone opposite Bradbury and to replace Daryl Worley, who they lost in free agency. Josh Jackson, he's a ball-hawking cornerback, 27 passes defense last year. Tall, got long arms. Some have called him a one-season wonder because he just really had that great one last year and kind of wasn't a big deal before that. He's the best off-ball corner in this draft class. He's got some coverage holes in there, but he's going to be allowed to develop on a very good defense in Carolina. I mean, since they lost Norman, they've had some holes, at least in depth, at cornerback. So...
Look, I'll put it to you this way. Mike Thomas, Mike Evans, Julio Jones.
Cam Meredith.
But, I mean, you need to get better at corner. You need to, Julio Jones cannot be going for 200 yards against your team. Otherwise, you're not going to have any success.
He went for 300 the other year.
300, actually. And, Josh Jackson led the nation with 9 interceptions last year. He's not the cover corner that a guy like Denzel is, as we said, but he's a great off-ball zone corner that can come in. And ironically enough, NFL.com actually comps him to Josh Norman, which is pretty ironic, but I think this is a no-brainer. It has to be secondary, and I think Josh Jackson's the best player left in the secondary at this point. Yeah,
they need just, even if he's not the best at the coverage aspects, he can just, such a ball hawk, he just recovers. He's going to intercept that ball, knock it down. He's going to fill holes on that team.
Long. Good recovery.
They need a playmaker on defense other than Luke Kuechly, especially in the secondary. Like Kieran mentioned with Julio Jones and all those guys there. I witnessed it every year being a Falcons fan, is watching our easiest matchup every year is against the Panthers because they refuse to fill their cornerback need. But I think this is the year that they finally admit to themselves, we need a corner.
Josh Jackson, to be honest, he's got better hands than a lot of receivers. You turn on the tape and it's highlight reel interception after highlight reel interception. He is a true ball hawk. So he's going to be able, like a Marcus Peters, to come in and generate turnovers and get interceptions and give your offense more possessions. So I think it's like we said, it's a no-brainer for sure.
I mean, he had a better one-handed catch than Odell Beckham did against the Cowboys there. So just...
With the 25th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Harold Landry, edge, Boston College. Now, the Titans are one of the few teams that can definitely afford to go BPA because they have a very complete football team, especially after adding Dion Lewis and Malcolm Butler from the Patriots in free agency. They need to get younger on the edge with Brian Arapko and Derek Morgan. Brian Arapko being 31 and Derek Morgan turning 30 at the end of the coming season. Harold Landry had a bit of a down season this season due to minor injuries, but led the nation in 2016 with 16.5 sacks, during which he also set the single-season school record at Boston College for the most sacks in a season, along with 7 forced fumbles to go that year. Harold Landry's defensive line coach at Boston College last year, Paul Pasqualoni, has now gotten a job in the NFL with Matt Patricia's staff in Detroit, and formerly coached in the NFL and coached greats like J.J. Watt, DeMarcus Ware, Jason Taylor, and Jared Allen. So, I mean, we see kind of where Harold Landry gets it from an experience perspective with that coach. And we've seen teams like Philadelphia, who won a Super Bowl last year, just have a tremendous amount of success with very deep pass rushing units and just constantly sending fresh legs at you. So I think Tennessee kind of goes that route and gets younger at the pass rushing position.
Yeah, it makes complete sense to me. Tennessee Titans have a lot of guys who are over the age of 30 on their defense. Yeah. Definitely could use fresh legs, especially at a position like pass rusher. Yep. Never hurts to get a few guys, a guy to get a few extra sacks here and there when you need it.
I mean, they have a new head coach now in Mike Vrabel, who was a longtime linebacker in the league. He wasn't exactly known for pass rushing, but he's known for his defensive acumen, so he's going to be a good teacher there for him. The offense is pretty set. They're set at tackle. Maybe have some wide receiver needs, but they have Davis from last year. No need for quarterback, Marcus Mariota. No need for a running back. So really, best best player available on defense, probably the way to go, and that's Harold Landry right now.
Yeah, I think Mike Vrabel comes over year one, gets his wish, and improves the defense with their first round pick.
Yeah, and Mike Vrabel being not like a pass rushing guy, and Harold Landry being especially as a pass rusher, but not so good in coverage, and being an actual linebacker, I think Mike Vrabel could complement him in that area.
Yeah, help improve him
It's a
for
good
sure.
fit.
It's a good fit.
Now, with the 26th pick of the first round, the Atlanta Falcons select Daron Payne, defensive tackle, Alabama. He fills the Falcons' most glaring need on defense at defensive tackle. Very strong, very athletic, will significantly improve ATL's run defense, and most importantly, will eat up blocks to keep Deion Jones clean. The one knock on him is he doesn't always explode off the ball and lacks juice at times. However, I believe that's an easy fix, especially with a D-line whisperer and Dan Quinn coaching him up.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the Falcons not re-signing Dontari Poe in free agency, that's definitely a number one need for them. They've drafted in their linebacking core some smaller guys, and Deion Jones and Duke Riley out of LSU last year. So it's really important that the guys up front along that defensive line, eat those double teams and free up some space, like you said, for the second level.
And the Falcons are 2 years removed now from a Super Bowl appearance. They're still a very good team. They got lots of weapons on both sides of the ball there. It's just good fit. One of their few holes is a defensive tackle. This fills up that spot.
This is a very the Falcons. When I think the Falcons, I think explosive. It's a very explosive team on both sides of the ball. But unless your trenches are sound and you're able to do what you're supposed to do at those spots, you're not really able to see that team's full explosion.
Exactly.
Because
you need to build from the inside out.
Where those players lack in size, they make up for in explosive ability, but for their size to not hinder them too much, the bigger guys up front.
Yeah, if you have too many small guys out there, you're just going to get pushed around.
Well, yeah, just last year just looked like the Falcons just didn't really get going, they're always like that one little step off from on both sides of the ball. Now just they had this piece, that explosive.
Their defense did improve, but it was still, like you said, missing that little oomph, and I think he helps fill that little void that we were missing.
Yep.
Now with the 27th pick of the first round, the New Orleans Saints select Arden Key, edge, LSU. My NFL comp for him is Danielle Hunter on the Vikings. He has the raw talent to be a top 10 pick in this draft. However, his inconsistent play and rather slow 40 time of 4.89 is a little concerning, considering he currently kind of light. He weighs 238 pounds right now. So once he does plan to gain that weight, how slow will he get? That might be a concern.
I think for the Saints, their 2017 draft class was absolutely legendary in what they were able to do, both in terms of improving their offensive line and in terms of improving their defense with guys like Alex Alonzone, Marshawn Lattimore, and Trey Hendrickson, Marcus Williams too, the safety. So I think. But the one area that they're lacking in is a pass rusher opposite Cam Jordan. So I think Arden Key could really come in there and be that guy. And again, we've already talked about the NFC South with the Falcons and the Panthers and the Buccaneers with the offense that they have. So I think that it's really important, obviously, to get after the passer in this division.
Yeah, this might be a steal right here. Like I said, last year they had him projected as a top 10 pick. He just had an off year because he decided to gain too much weight. But if they could hit straight goal again this year for the second year in a row with
I think it was a PFF. They rated him as the number one pass rusher in this class, like number one edge defender in this class. He has got to improve supporting the run a bit, but in terms of getting to the quarterback, he's arguably the best. He's got crazy bend. He's fast. He's
and I mean at his size, what he makes up for in terms of running a slow 40s is extremely quick in short distances.
Yeah.
So
you can't watching the film. You wouldn't think he's slow or anything. You would think he's a locked and loaded 4-6 guy automatically. The way he moves so fast between the box, but it works for him. And I guess the 4.89 is just his long speed, but his shuttle is, I guess, adequate enough, and I think it'll translate to success at the next level.
I think he's got to develop a few extra moves, because sometimes if his initial burst doesn't get him past the tackle, he gets stood up a bit too much, but develops like maybe a swim move here or there, a spin move, just to, if he doesn't time that snap and beat the tackle immediately, you can add something that next something extra to his game.
Yeah, and I think Cam Jordan, who's probably
Yeah.
now like a top 5 edge rusher, will definitely help in that process.
Maybe the
of,
best teacher.
Exactly.
Like Davenport, Arden Key's a little bit raw. He doesn't have kind of that polish that Harold Landry and Chubb have, but
Yeah.
I think that the sky's the limit in terms of the potential there. And like you said, learning from Cam Jordan is definitely, you can't go wrong with that for sure.
Now, with the 28th pick of the first round, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Rashawn Evans, linebacker, Alabama. With Shazier's career in question, Pitt needs to find his replacement. Sideline-to-sideline linebacker. He has exceptional closing speed, one of the best I've seen on tape all year. Once the ball carrier is in his target area, he explodes through the tackle. He has good awareness and diagnoses the plays really quickly. But the one knock on him, it might be that he over-pursues the play a little bit too much at times. Like, he'll see what he has and he'll get a little too antsy and he'll get there too fast and then allow a cutback lane. But I think that's easily fixable at the next level with the good coaching.
Shazier was the captain of this defense. He was the leader of this defense. He was their quarterback. So I think, obviously, when he has that scary spinal injury and he goes out, I think naturally, you could look at the running back, and we don't know if we're going to sign Le'Veon Bell to a long-term deal. We could look at big Ben's replacement. But in terms of this team, with Bell, Brown, Ben, they're in win mode now all the time, and they can make it to the Super Bowl any given year based on that explosiveness. So, let's come in and replace our middle linebacker.
Well, if you look at how that defense performed after Shazier's injury, that got blown up by the Jags. They got beat by the Patriots. They got all these other teams. Like, their defense was not the same with him not out there.
For sure.
They need to find a replacement. Even if he comes back, great. If he doesn't come back, you 100% need a replacement there. And Evans offers them the best option at this pick.
Exactly. He's essential to their the middle linebacker position is essential to their success on their team. And let's say Shazier does come back. I don't think he'll be back in the 2018 year, but let's say 2019. Then worst case scenario, you got one of the best middle linebacker tandems in the league.
You can never have too much depth at inside linebacker, such a crucial position on defense.
Now, with the 29th pick of the first round, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Colton Miller, offensive tackle, UCLA. This move allows the Jaguars to bump Cam Robinson to right guard, replacing their only weakness in AJ Cann. He has great height and length, a very high effort player. However, he has stiff hips. It makes him play a little too high at times, which could lead to him getting ran over. He did run a 4.95 at 310 pounds, which is extremely impressive and demonstrates his athleticism to run down in screens at the next level.
Yeah, like a couple other teams we discussed, Jacksonville is a super complete football team. We're still not super sure about Blake Bortles. The deal they gave him, the 2-year deal, a little bit over $40 million, if I remember correctly, isn't a ringing endorsement that he's their guy. But I think for now, let's bolster that O-line. We want an athletic tackle that's going to help in the running game with Leonard Fournette and keep having success in the AFC South.
Yeah.
Look, they have arguably the best defense in the entire league.
Most star-studded.
Yeah,
them and the Rams now.
Or the Vikings are up there as well.
For sure.
But
they're up there.
In the AFC, let's say.
Yeah, in the AFC, they have, I think, 100% the best defense in the AFC at least.
Yeah.
That offense, Blake Bortles, he killed it down the stretch. I
he did.
didn't know he had that in him, to be completely honest. He just meshed with all those guys there, even with a bunch of injuries to their wide receivers. They brought in some new guys or guys returning now. Fournette had a great rookie season there, so just give him more holes to run through, give Blake more time to throw. And, the defense not going to let him more than 20 points maybe a game. Like, they're very good. Just score a bit more and you're going to win that game. So.
Like we said with Dalton, we don't know if he's the guy or not, so let's give Blake the best chance possible. And with very little offensively outside of Leonard Fournette and that offensive line in terms of receivers, he was able to almost beat the Patriots in the AFC Championship. So I think, let's bolster that line and let's continue building around him and allow him to have a chance for success.
Yeah. With pick number 30, the Minnesota Vikings select Mike Hughes, cornerback, UCF. Well, he's a very physical corner. He tracks the ball extremely well. Premium return man, so offers even another option for the Vikings there. We have many speedy guys. He's a little short and has some coverage issues, but the Vikings, they need more man support up on the opposite side of Xavier Rhodes. It's a very complete football team. These Vikings, they couldn't manage to make it to the Super Bowl in their home stadium last year, but they have a fantastic team on both sides of the ball. They brought in Kirk Cousins now too. They're hoping to bring them over the edge. Just there's not many holes to fill, and Hughes is just one of the best players available right now, so the Vikings will happily take him.
Yeah, I think with that offense, you got to remember too, Dalvin Cook's probably going to be back this year. they're definitely going to compete for the NFC crown with Kirk
Yeah.
Cousins for sure. And like you said, Terrence Newman, he's 39 years old. And Trey Waynes, former first-round pick, hasn't really panned out. More of a fast guy, but gets beat a lot. Tries to rely on his speed a little bit too much. So I think enter Mike Hughes. Xavier Rhodes can take away a team's number one receiver, and Mike Hughes is again another off-ball zone corner that can definitely come away with interceptions and impact the opponent's passing game that way.
Yeah, you can never have too many corners, right?
Yeah.
Especially with a great team, a great defense like that, who might be missing that second corner. You don't know, like Trey Waynes, how he's gonna pan out. He's fast, but he gets beat here and there. A lot of penalties, like you said. Newman, 39 years old, which is crazy. But definitely, yeah, I could see them going Mike Hughes and him starting there for them day one.
Yeah, I mean, NFC North, Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, and now a Matt Nagy-led Mitchell Trubisky offense that's now acquired Trey Burton, Taylor Gabriel, and Allen Robinson.
Yeah.
So, I mean...
Yeah, the NFC North is slowly becoming a very air-rated
it's
division.
It's going to be fun games to watch for
It
sure.
used to be like a run-heavy, smash
Smash Mouth, the ground and pound division.
Yeah,
now it's becoming...
a lot of guys are just airing it out. You got a bunch of receivers, and you get the corners for that.
Yep.
And I mean, look, with the strength and depth on that Vikings defense, he won't have to be a shutdown quarter immediately.
Yeah.
Xavier Rhodes on the other side, Smith on top to cover up any mistakes. Like he's going to have time to develop the few areas he's lacking, because he's got the physical attributes to be a great corner. There's a few coverage issues. Zimmer's gonna coach the hell out of him and fix those very quickly. So
Hughes can ball, but now he's got the benefit of going to play on one of the best defenses in the league and just developing, like you said, and improving in certain aspects.
Pick 31, the New England Patriots select Taven Bryan, defensive tackle, Florida. Just look, the Patriots, they have holes on defense. In the Super Bowl, it showed. Jay Ajayi ran it down their throat. Nick Foles decimated their secondary. Just, they have many holes on defense. Taven Bryan right now, best pick available at the spot. Great combination of size and athleticism. Great run stopper, and he has the potential to develop into a very good pass rusher as well. They traded for Danny Shelton, a former first-round pick. But I don't think he's the answer there. Taven Bryan's going to help a lot. He had a 4.98 40-yard dash and a 35-inch vertical at 6'4" and 291 pounds at the combine. Just he's a freak of an athlete, and he's going to help them out a lot.
Yeah, I think he's a guy right now that comes in and plays on the interior of their defensive line, but I think ultimately can develop into a guy that they might be able to move around inside and out on that line as he generates some pass rush ability, like you said.
Yeah, I agree. I see him as like a future Rob Ninkovich.
Yep.
He with the ability to get up to 10 sacks in a season. Maybe not right away, like you guys said. More of a run stopper right now, but down the line, once he gets groomed, I see him as being a dominant force with a high motor.
And look, I mean, Bill, he always goes BPA, right?
Yeah.
Taven Bryan, best player available right now.
Yeah.
And it just makes too much sense.
With those 4 picks in the first 2 rounds, he's got ability to add a lot of star players, and I think Taven Bryan could definitely be one of those.
Yeah.
With the 32nd pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Jair Alexander, cornerback, Louisville. Again, another very complete football team that goes BPA. They have to replace Patrick Robinson, who went to the Saints via free agency, who was one of the better rated slot defenders last year by PFF. To me, Jair Alexander has the ability to definitely be the second best cover corner after Denzel Ward. He ran 4.38. He's extremely smooth and fluid. He was a really elite combine performance, one of the better combine performances I've seen at the cornerback position in a while. He's a very willing tackler in run game and short passing game. He had 5 interceptions in 2016, which was the last season he played fully healthy, and 2 in that year versus Deshaun Watson and Clemson. I think he can ultimately develop into a number 1 corner, but won't have to right away with Philly playing alongside Sidney Jones, Ronald Darby, Rasul Douglas, Jalen Mills. They have a really deep cornerback group there, and I think they're very strong up front in their front 7, and they even added guys like Haloti Ngata, so they're going to take advantage of this pick with going corner.
Well, look, like you said, the Eagles, they're an extremely strong team. They won the Super Bowl. Like, they have depth at every position, pretty much. Just best BPA at this point.
Yeah.
Best player available. Just let him come in, work on his game. Going to be a good corner there for a long time if they want to keep him.
Yeah, with a team like the Eagles with so many strong suits all over the place, and their glaring, not a glaring need, but their one little weakness, I would say, would be corner, because Jalen Mills got beat on a couple double moves in the playoffs. So, like, he's a good guy, but he's not for sure. So might as well just go BPA, and if it happens to be the corner, then you fill your corner need.
Yeah, 100%.
With the first pick of the second round, the Cleveland Browns select Orlando Brown, offensive tackle, Oklahoma. Despite his mediocre combine performance, Brown is a very solid offensive lineman. After all, he did give up a total of 0 sacks last year. His lack of strength may limit him in his run blocking success early on, but as he gets used to the NFL and more groomed, I think it won't be that much of a problem given his size. The Browns do need to replace Joe Thomas, who retired this season after all. I think he'll do an adequate job in his first year at left tackle for the Browns.
Yeah, I don't personally, when I'm looking at my tackles, I don't really care about the 5.85 combine. I care about what you said, which is the fact that Baker Mayfield was kept upright by Orlando Brown, who didn't allow 1 sack. That's all I care about, because you're coming in and you're replacing Joe Thomas, who was one of the best tackles for the last over a decade. So that's what's important to me.
He definitely won't live up to his legend of Joe Thomas, but
we need a replacement regardless.
Exactly,
And I think he's the best one
left. He's a guy, and he's BPA, and I think he'll be a solid guy. He'll be a solid starter in the NFL.
I mean, his name is the team name. Can't find a better fit if you ask me.
Brown and Brown Productions.
They got Sam Darnold with the first overall. They want to protect the first overall quarterback there. They keep him on his feet, or even if Tyrod playing, keep him on his feet. Just for open holes for Carlos Hyde, who they just signed. They make sense. They just got to protect the quarterback.
Yep,
definitely.
As simple as it is.
With the second pick of the second round, the New York Giants select Sony Michel, running back, Georgia. He has the ideal NFL running back size at 5'11", 220. Shows nice acceleration through the hole to fly by linebackers. He has exceptional vision when running with the football. Extremely soft hands, catches the football like a receiver. Potentially makes the Giants one of the most dangerous offenses in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, I think when you look at the Georgia Bulldogs last year, Chubb played the early down bruiser role and was very good in that role. But I think Sonny Michel, you're possibly looking at the next Alvin Kamara in terms of what he can do in the passing game and the way he can take it to the house.
Exactly.
And just look at the depth on the Giants in terms of running backs. It doesn't exist. They don't have a true starter there at all. No disrespect to the guys that did the best they could there with that offensive line production, but
Jonathan Stewart signing
it's
minimal.
not.
It's a bridge.
Yeah,
I think Jonathan Stewart, he might be okay. Like on first and second down, he'll be that maybe Nick Chubb. Like they'll try to tire out the defense, but once the defense is tired out, Sony Michel comes in with the fresh legs, burns them out, and gets that Kamara rule going.
I mean, you have to remember too, in our scenario, they traded back out of the second overall pick, which many people think that they could use on Saquon Barkley, which would definitely make them the most dangerous offense in the NFL. But in this scenario, they opt to get more picks and draft more players.
Exactly.
And I think Sonny Michel, as a pass catcher, he's the best in the draft.
Would you rather get Saquon and one offensive lineman, or Sony Michel and 2 offensive linemen along with Leighton Van Der Esch?
Oh, yeah, definitely option 2 for sure in terms of what it does for your team.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't had a top runner for the longest time, right?
Since the Brandon Jacobs
yeah,
and Bradshaw combination.
Exactly.
It's been a while.
Tiki Barber.
Yeah.
With the third pick of the second round, the Cleveland Browns select Isaiah Oliver, cornerback, Colorado. Well, he's a day one starter, that's for sure, for the Cleveland Browns. He has elite size with extremely long arms that NFL teams covet. He has good enough speed, ran 4.5 at the combine. He possesses receiver-like hands. However, he struggled at times in bump and run, which is surprising given his arm length.
You know, I think we talked about the Browns earlier, their offense, who they were able to add, especially even in this mock with Sam Darnold. They went Chubb in the first round, but now it's time definitely to add a corner. Because last offseason they lost Joe Hayden, and this offseason they lost Jason McCourty.
Yeah.
So they definitely have a huge need there at corner for sure.
And although they traded for Damaris Randall, who was a corner, now they move him to safety.
Yeah. Damaris Randall's natural position coming out of Arizona State a couple years ago was safety, and now they're going to play him at his natural position, so they still definitely need a corner.
Exactly.
I mean, Brock Osweiler, that trade providing dividends. They take on that contract at this pick, helps the team out a lot.
Oh yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, they basically paid money to get an extra second round pick.
Yeah, for sure.
Might as well.
I mean, sure they're going to be happy with that. Very good corner falls with them in the second round. No complaints from the Browns there.
Colorado was able to produce 2 early round picks last year at corner, Chidobe Awuzie and Akello Witherspoon. So I mean,
and both played well.
Both played super well. So if Isaiah Oliver comes in and has success, Colorado's maybe DBU. I don't know.
Oh yeah,
definitely.
Yeah, in contention anyway.
Yeah.
With pick number 36 in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Maurice Hurst, defensive tackle, Michigan. what can I say? It's a perfect fit for the new defensive scheme. New defensive coordinator, Matt Eberflus. He's building a defense based off speed. Then Maurice Hurst has tons of that. He's got a great burst, extremely quick with a high motor. There were those combine red flags with a potential heart issue, but they've been cleared since then. Makes him fall to the second round, but the Colts, their war room's cheering right now that they landed this guy. Perfect fit to play on the inside of the 4-3 defensive line, which they changed to. They released Hankins. They have other needs. They have needs there. Can help. Going to rush the interior, apply pressure. Going to give more time to the outside guys, to the edge rushers. He's got a fast get off. 13 tackles for a loss with 5.5 sacks to go with nearly 60 combined tackles.
So yeah, tremendous value right here in the second round. This guy was coveted as a top 15 pick in the early draft process. For him to drop to the Colts right here is a blessing in disguise.
I think every year there's a guy in the combine usually that raises some red flags in terms of injury or condition, like it was for Maurice Hurst. But I think it's all going to depend on which team doctors clear him and what they have to say about that. But naturally, this was projected to be a former high first round pick, so for the Colts to get him here. He's perfect for their new 4-3 on the inside.
Yeah, look, there are obvious edge rushing needs for the Colts right now, but you can't pass up a guy at Maurice Hurst right now in the second round. And he does have pass rushing history. The Indianapolis Colts select Carlton Davis, cornerback, Auburn. Look, he's got great size and strength. The Colts are lacking cornerback depth after the release of Vontae Davis. They have Quincy Wilson, who they drafted last year, and Nate Harrison, who's good in the slot, but they need another guy on the outside. He's a very disruptive cornerback. He can get into penalty trouble, though, so they're going to have to coach that out of him. He had 11 pass deflections in 2017, with double-digit pass defense in each of his 3 seasons. And he faced some of the best in the SEC West, Calvin Ridley, DJ Chark, Christian Kirk. And the NFL.com compares him to Richard Sherman as a pro comp. And really, that's the exact type of corner second-year GM Chris Ballard trying to replicate. Just that big physical corner that gets in your face. Perfect combination with Quincy Wilson.
Don't have much to say. Definitely agree with the pick. In this case, Colts are taking full advantage of the multiple picks that they received in that trade with the Jets and just going and getting a lot of starters for the football team next year.
Yeah, basically replacing Vontae Davis and getting a guy opposite Quincy Wilson, like you said, and much needed spot.
With the 38th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Kerryon Johnson, running back, Auburn. Major need at running back after the departure of Doug Martin. Kerryon Johnson's a very patient runner who excels in pass protection. He's a very mature running back. He rushed for 1,391 rush yards and 18 touchdowns in 2017, along with 24 catches for 194 yards and 2 TDs. He showed even better receiving ability at the combine than shows his tape. And to me, his running style is really reminiscent in terms of the patience of Le'Veon Bell coming out of Michigan State. And we've seen the type of success that Le'Veon Bell's had.
Yeah, I love Kerryon Johnson. I remember watching him during the year, just thinking, like you said, Le'Veon Bell the whole time. Patience all through the hole, explosion through the hole. Great vision. And I don't think he has great speed, but he has good enough speed to do what he has to do. The burst is where really plays into his game.
Using your acceleration to the best of your ability.
Going slow and fast, stopping and go. That's where he takes advantage of the defense.
Yeah.
Well, look, they have serious need at running back right now. They improved the defense with that first selection. Yeah, exactly. Right now, they just they got to add some support to Jameis Winston right now. They have Evans on the outside. They just gave that monster contract too, but they need a running back right now.
With the 39th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Chicago Bears select Billy Price, offensive guard / center, Ohio State. Unfortunately for Billy Price, he tore his pectoral while practicing for the bench press event at the Combine. To me, he's the second best guard center pivot after James Daniel out of Iowa, who went to the Bengals in the first round. Price could replace Josh Sitton at guard or play center if the Bears decide to kick Cody Whitehair to guard. This is a guy to me that would have tested extremely well at the Combine. He's tough. He's gritty. He's following in the footsteps of 2 current NFL starters who were centers at Ohio State, and Corey Linsley of Green Bay and Pat Elflein at Minnesota. He's a very knowledgeable football player, spends a lot of time in the field room, great understanding of Ohio State's entire offense last season.
I agree with the pick. Help Trubisky, protect Trubisky, young quarterback. Replace SZN, who's a great pass protector.
Yeah.
And
No brainer.
I mean, league's built around passing. Round 1, you get someone to hit the quarterback. Round 2, get someone to protect the quarterback.
Yeah.
Simple. With the 40th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Brian O'Neill, offensive tackle, Pittsburgh. Look, he's a very large guy, quick for his size, deceptively quick even, with great foot speed. They need O-line help to protect Case Keenum and create holes for Barkley, who they managed to nab in the first. 4.82 40-yard dash, which is fantastic speed for the position. And the Pitt coaches used O'Neill's athleticism as an offensive weapon, as a rusher. 2 scores, one on a lateral and the other on an end around. And he was a high school wide receiver even, who just shot up. That's where that speed comes from.
so yeah, 4.82 for a left tackle, right tackle, crazy speed, man. You can use them on the screen all day and running downfield, 40 yards downfield, no problem for that.
Barkley round 1, Brian O'Neill round 2. Like I said, Case Keenum, whether he's the guy or not, let's provide a soft landing spot for him and allow him to have success and put points on the board.
I mean, even add some of those nice trick plays, put in an eligible tackle, catch a few touchdowns, you know?
You have a need at tight end as well.
Yeah, exactly. You can dual threat right here.
With the 41st pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Ronald Jones II, running back, USC. The Raiders signed Doug Martin to a 1-year, $1.5 million prove-it deal, which is hardly a ringing endorsement, and Marshawn Lynch is 31. To me, enter Ronald Jones, who I think could be the next Jamal Charles. He even wore the same number, 25 for USC, same running style, same home run speed. The guy had over 1,700 yards from scrimmage and 20 total touchdowns in 2017. This is a future Gruden grinder. To me, this is the best pure runner in the draft with the biggest home run ability. Unfortunately, he pulled a hamstring while running his 40 at the combine. Otherwise, he may have solidified his stock as the second best running back after Barkley to help take some pressure off Derek Carr. This pick makes a lot of sense to me.
Well, look, one of the few questions about Ronald Jones is, can he manage the full workload of a NFL running back? But with Doug Martin there and with Marshawn Lynch there, he's going to have time to develop that NFL needed strength. Then they can put him in at any time they want. You can catch, he'll
be a game
run,
changer.
so.
In Oakland, he doesn't have to carry the ball 20 to 25
Yeah, exactly. So he's going to have time to...
Yeah, I agree. As long as he doesn't have to bear the load off the bat, I think he'll be very successful. Give him 10 to 15 touches, give him maybe 2 to 5 catches here and there.
Yeah.
That's more than enough for him, and I think he'll be able to produce, especially in John Gruden's offense, who loves their running backs.
I mean, you could take any one of those touches to the house, so...
For sure.
With the 42nd pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Miami Dolphins select Dallas Goedert, tight end, South Dakota State. The Dolphins need to fill a void at tight end after cutting Julius Thomas. Also gives Baker Mayfield a big explosive target to stretch the seams. When looking at him, it reminds me kind of another version of Zach Ertz. He has the ability to separate and make spectacular highlight reel tough catches. Unfortunately, he tweaked his hamstring during the Senior Bowl practices and did not participate at the Combine. He faced a lesser level of competition at South Dakota State, so we're not entirely sure how good he really can be or is.
I think not only was Julius Thomas cut, but Jarvis Landry was traded, so there are a lot of targets to go around in this offense right now. Jarvis Landry having caught over 100 balls in each of his seasons with the Dolphins. So I definitely think this is a great pick. I think he has the ability to be a Zach Ertz-like player, but like you said, we need to wait and see if he can pan out and separate against NFL quality defenders.
Well, Gase, he obviously wants to bring in his own guys, right? So cutting everyone, trading everyone. So now bringing his own weapons, and we're going to see how they do. With the 43rd pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Mason Rudolph, quarterback, Oklahoma State. Look, Patriots, they need a QB of the future. Tom Brady is not getting any younger at all here. Studying under Brady and Bill Belichick for a year or two is going to be extremely beneficial to Rudolph. He's got good size and pocket presence and has improved each year in college. He's not the best arm that can make all the throws at the NFL level. He led the FBS in 2017 with 377 passing yards per game, a 37-9 touchdown to interception ratio in 2017. And yeah, he's big and strong, 6'5", 235. Those are the measurables you want in an NFL quarterback.
I think in this case, obviously having Mason slide to them in the second round, they don't pass up on him. Like you said, very successful at Oklahoma State, and I think learning from Brady and Bill could only be beneficial for him.
I mean, they just have no choice at this point. Brady's 40, approaching 40 there. He only has a few years left in him. Just let this guy study. Maybe a bit ironic here. It's the pick they got from Jimmy Garoppolo, so we'll see how these respective careers would pan out there.
I mean, Mason Rudolph played in the same conference that Baker Mayfield played in and put up just as good, if not better, numbers.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Baker Mayfield in this case, top 15 overall pick.
Yeah.
I was about to say he did play in the same conference as Baker. Didn't put quite the same numbers, but they were comparable. So if they're comparable and he's a top 15 pick, and I think that Mason Rudolph is definitely worth that second round pick, and he can have a similar, if not better, career than Baker. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, some people project him to go in the first round. So they land him mid-second here. Patriots are happy.
Good value.
With the 44th pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Washington Redskins select Justin Reed, safety, Stanford. The Redskins, they got lots of holes there. They managed to address the defensive line with the Vita Vea draft pick in the first round. Now they get secondary help. He's going to play opposite DJ Swearinger. That's going to be a nice pairing, I think. Better college prospect than brother Eric Reed. Got great size and speed. Flies around the field. 94 combined tackles, 6.5 for a loss, 5 interceptions, and 6 pass deflections for Stanford in 2017. Got great ball hawking ability. Can be a bit overly aggressive at times, but they're going to coach that out of him.
Yeah, I think Justin Reed is what a lot of teams are looking for at the safety position right now. A guy that has regularly been mocked near the end of the first round, slides to the second here, and I think, like you said, with DJ Swearinger, that's an elite duo back there for sure.
Yeah, a great value for Washington right here, having traded away Sua Cravens to Denver Broncos. And obviously has a hole there for a safety. Very good safety out of Stanford. Fast, could play free safety, strong safety, wherever you need him to play. Like the pick.
Real modern day safety here.
With the 45th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Green Bay Packers select Sam Hubbard, defensive end, Ohio State. Green Bay needs to generate more pass rush and find an heir to Clay Matthews, who's not getting any younger. Enter Sam Hubbard. He was initially a 205-pound safety when he was recruited by Ohio State with a lacrosse background. He's now playing at 265 and playing that sort of edge rusher position. He's had 17 sacks in his college career and has benefited from playing with greats like Joey Bosa. He would definitely benefit from a year of rotational play with Clay Matthews. He's got great awareness and football intelligence, and what separates him from a lot of the edge rushers is that he has a phenomenal motor, one of the best I've ever seen, does not quit on plays, and it allows him to get sacks that other people wouldn't have been able to get.
Look, he's a great run stopper right now. He's got to work on the pass rushing aspect of his game, but study under Clay Matthews is going to be great. He's going to have time to develop that. He's going to be able to play him from day one right there in Green Bay. It's a great fit for him.
In the NFL, you don't get to the quarterback that much just based off pure motor. So that's what he has to do, is just polish and develop a little bit.
Exactly.
Great pick considering Clay Matthews' age and lack of production within the past few years. Can definitely see him developing into an elite pass rusher on the Green Bay Packers. With the 46th pick of the 2018 draft, the Cincinnati Bengals select Martinez Rankin, offensive tackle, Mississippi State. Here the Bengals double dip at O-line, take the best remaining tackle off the board. Rankin's offers a 5-position versatility, but his one knock is that he has average slide quickness, meaning that he can't get to the edge and seal the block all the time.
Again, not much to say here. As we discussed in the first round, they need double, even triple dip at O-line in order to improve that line and give Dalton and Mixon and AJ Green utmost chance for success.
Here with Rankin at offensive tackle and
James
Daniels playing the center / guard, I think that gives them two viable options entering the season, and they could feel a little bit safer
for sure
than they did before the draft.
Like I said, just open holes for Joe Mix. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, give Andy Dalton some time to throw the ball, and we'll see what happens, right?
Yep.
With the 47th pick, the Arizona Cardinals select Tyrell Crosby, offensive tackle, Oregon. Look, they got to improve the O-line right now. They managed to get Lamar at 15. They're going to have to protect him. They're going to have to protect Sam Bradford, whose bones break every time he's tackled. Improve the O-line. Crosby's got good size and strength. He might be moved to guard, but either way, they could improve the guard position. Some of those guys are older or just not that good. He's a good run blocker. He's got to improve his footwork a bit, but just, like I said, improve the O-line. That simple.
Decent pick, but I could see them going receiver here, with Larry Fitzgerald aging and J.J. Nelson being very slight.
But yeah, I really could have gone anywhere with this pick. There's lots of holes on this Cardinals team.
Yeah.
Wide receiver, like I said, even secondary with Tyrann Mathieu gone to the Texans. Just
But fair enough.
Receiver class is super deep
Offense
too.
tackle is not as deep as the receivers, so I guess what you can do is take your best available offensive line, and then you snag a receiver in the third round.
yeah, exactly.
There's definitely receivers available third and fourth round that can come in and start right away.
Exactly.
So I think
Yeah, if you
prioritize the offensive line as you're in full rebuild.
If you don't
mode
love a
and-
guy in the second round, then I guess
don't
you
reach
wait.
for him.
You wait.
Yep.
With the 40th pick of the second round, the Los Angeles Chargers select Harrison Phillips, defensive tackle, Stanford. The Chargers need inside help considering their best defensive tackle, Corey Liuget, will be serving a 4-game suspension at the beginning of the season. Not the best athlete, but does make up for it with freakish strength. Benched 40 reps at the combine. Chargers struggled against the run last year. He'll be able to fill 2 gaps with no problem and require double teams, which will allow linebackers like Perriman to run free. Not a 3-down player since he lacks pass rushing skills, but he'll do a tremendous job on first and second down for you.
I mean, we see the pass rush ability that the Chargers have with Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa. Now with Derwin James, phenomenal secondary. Let's go and let's shore up the inside of that defensive line and really be able to stop the run.
I mean, with Bosa there, you don't need him to get the quarterback. Just
Yeah.
plug up that middle,
Yeah,
stop the run.
Take on the double team.
Already got Bosa and Ingram. All you're missing is run stoppers.
Yeah. With the 49th pick in the draft, the Indianapolis Colts select Cortland Sutton, wide receiver, SMU. Look, the Colts, they need a big body receiver here to pair with T.Y. Hilton. They thought they had that in Dante Moncrief, but it just didn't pan out. He's with the Jaguars now. Sutton's got a huge catch radius and regularly makes high contested catches with defenders draped all over him. He had nearly 1,100 yards and 12 touchdowns in 2017. Great toughness, good blocker, but needs to improve the route running. Not great speed or long speed, but is very quick for his size at 6'3".
I mean, Cortland Sutton, it's huge value here. I've seen him mocked as early as 9th overall to the 49ers. So
It's ridiculous,
for
but
luck to be able to get a guy that can play opposite T.Y. Hilton and really contribute in the red zone and make those tough catches is huge.
yeah, I mean, they got all these extra picks in that trade down. They signed Eric Ebron to be a bit of a red zone threat too, but you can't risk everything on him. He didn't exactly fully pan out in Detroit there.
Yeah.
So they bring in Sutton, big body, perfect complement to T.Y. Hilton, who's that speedy guy.
Yeah.
In my opinion, Cortland Sutton is the most complete receiver in the draft. He has the height, he has the vertical ability, route running. He does everything like pretty well, and I feel like in the second round, it's not a steal, but it's a great value.
It's great value mid-second round for sure. With the 50th pick in the 2018 draft, the Dallas Cowboys select Malik Jefferson, linebacker, Texas. Jefferson comes in and fills a huge hole on the depth chart at Sam linebacker after the departure of Anthony Hitchens to the Chiefs in free agency. He's a guy that tested extremely well, 4.52 speed at 6'3", 236. You also have to take into consideration that Sean Lee's very injury prone, and while they do have Jalen Smith there now, he's a much needed guy in their linebacking core. He was able to start all 13 games for the Longhorns in 2017 and led the team with 110 tackles, 10 tackles for a loss, and 4 sacks. This is definitely a height, weight, speed prospect with fantastic movement skills and recovery speed. From 2016 to 2017, he went from 60 tackles to 110 tackles. So there's definitely been an increase in his production and the way his natural instincts are as a linebacker.
I like the pick. On tape, to me, he was one of the best linebackers in the country, so I don't get why he's not ranked a little higher, especially with the insane combine performance he put on display.
Tested really well.
So I don't get where teams don't see in him, but definitely a great pick.
It's a just dream scenario here for the Dallas Cowboys. They elected not to go Evans in the first round, chose Ridley instead, but they get Jefferson right now, fills that linebacker hole. And Smith also has his injury history, so just they can never have too many linebackers, as we said.
It provides security.
For sure. Best case scenario, you have all 3 healthy, Jalen Smith, Sean Lee, and Malik Jefferson. But, I mean, those other 2 guys have had their injuries. So, definitely we need a guy like Malik Jefferson to come in.
Need that depth for sure.
With the 51st pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Detroit Lions select Hayden Hurst, tight end, South Carolina. Hayden Hurst comes in. He'll be a huge upgrade to former first-round pick Eric Ebron, who's now with the Colts. Now, Hayden Hurst is 24 years old. He's mature. He's hungry. He was a former 2012 first-round pick in the Major League Baseball draft. He was a walk-on at South Carolina's football program. He's the best, to me, combination tight end in this class. That I don't mean he's the best pass catcher or the best blocker, but I mean he gives you the best combination of the two. I could see him developing into a Greg Olsen type player. When I watch the tape, I see a player who's really great at understanding how to find the soft spot in a zone and sit down. And he was even athletic enough to be used as a ball carrier on certain gadget plays at South Carolina in 2017.
Yeah, definitely like the pick for the Detroit Lions. They had Eric Ebron these past few years. Very inconsistent play. Didn't pan out. I think, well, I know Hayden Hurst can be more consistent than him.
For sure.
Is he more talented? Who knows? But definitely a consistency part.
Safer prospect.
Exactly. Probably a better run blocker as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, just a good fit for the Detroit Lions offense.
I mean, at 24, you know what he's going to be staying at that size pretty much more or less. So you're not going to, you don't know if he's not going to get bigger on you. But if he can improve those other things, great run blocking, like you said, if he can improve, maybe be a bit more dynamic in the pass catching game, he'd be a great pick here for the Lions.
I think definitely, they went Darius Geis round 1, Hayden Hurst round 2. It's time to stop messing around and really give Stafford all the weapons he needs on offense.
With the 52nd pick, the Baltimore Ravens select Christian Kirk, wide receiver, Texas A&M. Look, even with signing Crabtree, the Ravens have serious wide receiver needs. They lost Mike Wallace. They have him, but they still need help. Rashad Perriman did not pan out even remotely close. He's been injured often, and even when he hasn't been injured, he's just not done much. Christian Kirk provides a reliable slot target, 234 career catches for 2,856 yards and 26 touchdowns. Can help in return game too, where Baltimore is lacking at 21 kickoff returns for 420 yards and a score in 2017. Doesn't have elite speed, but makes up for it by running like a running back with a ball in his hands after the catch. Bit below average catch radius, but they can work with that. Good value here in middle of the second round, Christian Kirk for the Ravens.
Like we did with Mike McGlinchey round 1, just giving Joe Flacco an option to have a bounce back season. Yeah. Christian Kirk reminds me a lot of Golden Tate, and I think if he's deployed in a similar fashion, the way Detroit uses Tate, I think he could have similar success.
Yeah, you had him. You put him with Michael Crabtree. That recipe for maybe a very dangerous duo.
Yeah.
I think he could be good like early too, because he knows how to do.
He's NFL ready.
Exactly. Yeah. He knows how to run routes from the slot. He seems experienced in that facet, and overall good pick for them. With the 53rd pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Buffalo Bills select Lorenzo Carter, edge, Georgia. Overall freak of nature. He runs a 4.5 40-yard dash at 6'6", 250. He can play anywhere from edge to inside linebacker to even defensive end. The only reason he's dropping this far is because of his lack of production at the FBS level. Other than that, he would be a first-round pick.
I think we saw how good Buffalo's secondary was last year, bringing in guys like Micah Hyde, Tre'Davious White, but definitely need to generate more pass rush. There's needs all over the team, but I think Lorenzo Carter here falling to them in the second with that speed and that ability to get to the passer is not something that's to be passed up on.
And based off other holes, the versatility is kind of nice there too. Provides lots of options for them in Buffalo. Pick 54, the Kansas City Chiefs select Dante Jackson, cornerback, LSU. Chiefs, they need a cornerback help after trading Marcus Peters to the Rams earlier in the offseason. Jackson's got elite speed, 4.32 at the combine, 4.31 at his pro day. Just blazing speed. Has some coverage issues, though, that he's going to need to work on. And with a smaller frame, he might need to play nickel. But right now, the Chiefs, they have a pretty solid team overall. They're giving the reins to Patrick Mahomes. They're going to need help on defense. Just helps shore up that defense a bit.
Yeah, Dante Jackson might evolve into an outside guy right now, probably best on the inside, but definitely this is a team, offensive and defensively, that's built off of speed, so let's add even more speed and help the secondary, and Eric Berry hopefully was able to return out. Yeah,
they traded for Kendall Fuller to replace Marcus Peters for the moment. I don't think they need Dante Jackson to step in right away, like at the beginning of the season, but eventually, as he learns the ropes, I think maybe near the end of the season, he'll be a starter on the defense, whether it's at nickel or at the far left corner. Overall, good pick and a good need for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Never have too many corners.
Exactly.
Pick 55, the Carolina Panthers select Ronnie Harrison, safety, Alabama. It's a Cam Chancellor type enforcer safety out there. Can play money backer if needed for the Panthers. Had 74 tackles, 4.5 for a loss, 2.5 sacks, 3 interceptions with 4 passes defensed. They're double dipping at secondary here, which is needed. They need lots of secondary help. Could see them going wide receiver here just to give Cam some more weapons, but great value pick of Ronnie Harrison mid-second.
Yeah, Ronnie Harrison comes in, like we talked about with Minka Fitzpatrick, Clinton Dix, Landon Collins, Eddie Jackson, a lot of safeties to come out of Alabama, Crimson Tide defense lately and be very successful in the NFL from the get-go.
I don't trust any Panthers safeties, so getting a safety here and Ronnie Harrison, who's a savage, is a great move.
Just lost Kurt Coleman in the offseason as well, who went over to the Saints, so that fills a need.
He was also terrible, but nevertheless. With the 56th pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the New York Giants select Jamarco Jones, offensive tackle, Ohio State. The Giants taking care of their needs at O-line is paramount. Allows them to kick a struggling Eric Flowers at guard. Already has great technique, good at reaching second level in run game. The only knock on him is that he lacks ideal arm length.
Jamarco Jones, second round after going Will Hernandez in the first. We talked about how bad that offensive line was last year, so double dip, much needed. Let's go out and let's keep Eli upright and let's give Sonny Michel some opportunity to create some big plays.
It also allows for a backup line. Like I said, if Eric Flowers doesn't pan out at right tackle this time, you don't have to leave him there. You could just scoot him away.
Yeah.
Improve that O-line, which they really need.
With the 57th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Tennessee Titans select Jerome Baker, linebacker, Ohio State. Wesley Woodyard is 31 years old, although still playing at a really high level, and an upgrade is needed over Nate Palmer at the other inside linebacker spot in the Titans 3-4 scheme. Enter Jerome Baker, who, much like Darren Lee, another former Ohio State linebacker, is extremely fast, although is lacking in size and toughness. Like I said, he makes up for that with his elite speed. He ran a 4.53 at the Combine. He was able to lead the Buckeyes with 72 tackles and 8 for a loss in 2017.
Good pick again, adding more youth to the Tennessee Titans linebackering core and speed, most importantly. Like you said, Wesley Woodyard is getting a little old.
Former linebacker teaching another linebacker just makes sense.
Yeah, Mike Vrabel helped, definitely a guy that did not struggle in the toughness department, so maybe help toughen up Jerome Baker a little bit. This is a really complete football team that went BPA with Harold Landry and now BPA at linebacker with Jerome Baker and improve that front seven.
With the 58th pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Atlanta Falcons select Mike Gesicki, tight end, Penn State. Steve Sarkisian's ideal offense revolves around the double tight end system. He'll be hard to cover in Atlanta's offense given the amount of playmakers around him. He's the most athletically gifted tight end in the class. He also hasn't dropped the ball in 2 seasons. Yeah, one of his only knocks is that he's a terrible run blocker. However, that doesn't matter with the Atlanta Falcons, considering they have Austin Hooper in place to be the blocking tight end.
Mike Gesicki, great combine performance, really reminiscent of Vernon Davis in terms of how impressive he was able to run and jump. Could be the next type Jimmy Graham player in terms of, yes, a useless blocker, but an insanely difficult tight end to cover in space.
I mean, the Falcons haven't had a great pass-catching tight end since Tony Gonzalez retired, right? So Gesicki comes in there, provides a great piece to that offense.
Yep. With the 59th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the San Francisco 49ers select James Washington, wide receiver, Oklahoma State. James Washington was Mr. Big Play. He was the winner of the Biletnikoff Award for the nation's best receiver in 2017. While Jimmy G does have a reliable target in Pierre Garçon, who will hopefully return in 2018, Jimmy G definitely needs more help on offense. Washington can score every time he touches the ball. At 5'11", will most likely be a guy that they like to line up in the slot and outside. He averaged almost 21 yards per catch, which was the best in the country for wide receivers who caught over 50 balls in 2017.
They have their guy in Jimmy G now, just providing him weapons. Just makes too much sense. They shored up the defense there with that first pick in Edmonds. Yeah. But now they get
very strong defense time to add some pieces on offense.
Yeah, just provide some weapons. Deep class. They can maybe even double dip. They really feel like it later on. Yeah. Right now they get a solid receiver.
Yeah, James Washington, very good receiver out of Oklahoma State. When he catches the ball, he's like a running back with the ball after his yards per his yak, I guess, his yards after the catch. Yeah. And, great fit for the 49ers, who they do have Pierre Garçon, but he's getting old, like you said. Marcus Goodwin is a decent receiver, but mostly just a deep field stretcher.
One-dimensional player.
Exactly. So you pop in James Washington in the slot and see what you can do.
Threat to score every time he touches the ball.
The 60th pick has been traded from the Pittsburgh Steelers to the Cleveland Browns. With that pick, the Cleveland Browns select Nick Chubb, running back, Georgia. Browns trade up and get their horse. Really love them on tape. He's a bruiser with the ability to tire out a defense throughout the game. However, one of the knocks on him is that he might lack a little vision. He's not necessarily seen as a 3-down RB, although he did demonstrate good hands at the combine. Another thing is that he's still not as explosive as he once was before his injury, but that should come back with time.
Yeah, pretty bad knee injury a couple of years ago. To me, when I turn on the tape, it's a player that looks to be still decently recovered from that injury. Was very good this season. Exceptional elusiveness and agility for a player of that size with that running style. He's one of my favorite running backs. And I think, Cleveland trading up here out of the just up in the second round to get a running back is a scenario that we could see sort of with them trading from the second into the first if they decide they like a guy like Darius Geis or Sonny Michel at a certain point.
If a guy slides.
Yeah, I think they're going to go get a running back in the first 2 rounds for sure. And you're right to say that this might require a trade up for sure.
Personally, I disagree here. I like the player. Don't like the pick. I think I'm a big fan of Carlos Hyde, who they just signed. They already have Duke Johnson for the pass catching roles. He's a great player here, but I don't know if he's necessary in Cleveland right now.
Signed Carlos Hyde to a 2-year deal where he's getting paid about $6 million a year. Carlos Hyde is another player that's had injury concern.
Yeah.
So sort of let's see what he can do. I think best case scenario, Nick Chubb comes in and contributes. Worst case scenario, if Carlos Hyde doesn't work out, Nick Chubb's running style is very complementary to Duke Johnson's. So I think it could be a good pairing for sure.
With the 61st pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Jacksonville Jaguars select DJ Moore, receiver, Maryland. A great combination of size and speed. I see him as an elite route runner. He reminds me a bit of Stephon Diggs. Gives Blake Bortles another much-needed option and weapon on that offense.
Yeah, DJ Moore following in the footsteps of Stephon Diggs out of Maryland a couple of years ago. This is a guy that's increasingly being mocked in the first round, so it's definitely good value here. Although he does remind me of Stephon Diggs, like you, in terms of his route running ability, he carries a little more muscle on his body and is much tougher to tackle with the football in his hands after the catch.
Yeah.
Look, they lost Turns, they lost Robinson. They did bring in like Moncrief, and they have other weapons there, but you can't pass up the value of this pick right here. Give Blake Bortles more weapons to throw to, especially with how injured their guys got last year at receiver. So just can never have too many bodies there.
Exactly. Their team's filled with WR2s right now.
Exactly.
So they're trying to go get a guy
It can be the number one receiver.
who could eventually be a number 1 receiver.
Yeah, good pick.
They believe that's him.
Pick 62, the Minnesota Vikings select Frank Ragnow, center, Arkansas. Look, the Vikings, we said it before, extremely deep team all around, but they do have a few offensive line needs after they lost a few guys. They did select Elflein in the 3rd round last year, but he did play guard in college, so they can move him over to right guard, and then you can put Ragnow down the middle. He's got good size, power. He's an average athlete and average feet, but he was a 3-year starter and team captain at Arkansas, and I think he's going to be a great team guy there and pair up great with Elflein.
Yeah, I think the Vikings complete team, just looking to add depth at certain positions. The offensive line was really improved last season, and I think they go ahead and they make it even better this year. I think Ragnow doesn't give you the positional flexibility that Elflein does. So I think Elflein, like you said, is the guy they kick to guard and probably have Ragnow play center, but definitely improves the interior of their offensive line for sure, running game and passing game with Kirk Cousins.
Yeah.
I like the pick. You need a offensive lineup. Although maybe not center, they already have a center, but like you said, they can just bump Elflein to guard and put him right in there for the optimal lineup.
And they went Mike Hughes, add some depth to the corner group.
All right, so they go offense, makes sense to add some
depth to the offensive line.
Depth to the offensive line, help a young running back in Dalvin Cook excel.
Yeah.
I mean, ideally, guard's the pick here, but it doesn't. The value's not there, so they get the center.
Yeah.
Move there.
There are no guards left at this point that carry as high of a draft grade as Frank Ragnow. So
exactly,
the flexibility that Elflein has in pick makes sense.
You got to protect the franchise quarterback. The 63rd overall pick, the New England Patriots select Darius Leonard, outside linebacker, South Carolina. Serious linebacker needs for the Patriots. They have a Hightower there, but he's been injured before. Other guys with injury history are just getting up there in age. Leonard's just a great athlete with a long frame. He could lack NFL required strength, but Belichick and co. will up his strength and conditioning program. They could work on that. Needs to improve tackling angles, but his pursuit speed masks any deficiencies that could have. His best suited to play Will in the Patriots 4-3 and replace Kyle Van Noy, especially with that. They got a hybrid going there too, so he can move around a bit. 8 sacks last year, got serious pass rush ability.
Yeah, I like it. They also have a guy in Derek Rivers that's coming back who tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
That's a guy that could come back and also add some much-needed pass rush. So I think with Darius Leonard and some of those other guys coming back, they add some star power, which was evident in their playoff run that they were missing on defense.
Yeah, I think it's great value right here. Probably the last viable linebacker left.
Yeah.
The Patriots definitely needed that speed on defense. You could tell last year they were getting people were running all over them and passing all over them, and obviously Van Noy wasn't the guy to get the job done. With the 64th pick of the 2018 NFL Draft, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Rashad Penny, running back, San Diego State. Overall, my favorite prospect in the draft. Most impressive tape out of all the running backs, in my opinion. Reminds me of a more explosive David Johnson. Has ridiculous pull-away speed. Some question whether he's just a product of the San Diego State system, but I think he's the real deal.
Yeah, Rashad Penny definitely lit up the Senior Bowl as well. Dominated that game, over 100 yards from scrimmage. And he's a guy that...
As did David Johnson when he was a rookie.
There you go. And he's another guy that I think can come in here. And we're not sure if Le'Veon Bell is going to get signed to a long-term deal after playing under his second straight franchise tag. So I think this could be a guy that might be the answer.
Yeah.
Definitely a position in need in terms of building for the future.
If you can get 80% of Le'Veon Bell for $1 million instead of paying him the 15
$20 million a year, 15 or 20 million that he wants.
Bell requires, it's easy math.
For sure.
No matter how you look at it, it's great for the Steelers right now. They trade down, get a higher draft pick in that swap there, or higher later round draft pick, and then they still get a great running back here. And like you guys said about Le'Veon Bell, if he stays great, you have a great backup for him in case he goes down, or just complement him a bit there.
For sure.
They don't have the best depth, I believe, at running back.
James Conner last year drafted, clearly not the guy. Definitely not a Le'Veon Bell type
Le'Veon
player.
Bell's going to be getting like 300 touches a year, so he might
can only hold up for so long.
If you could give him a 70-30 split, maybe even 60-40, that could help elongate his career.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, more energy in the playoffs.
Exactly, and the playoffs too, yeah.
That's it for us, guys. Just want to say thanks for watching. Special shout out to Rob Campana and FPF for letting us use the studio. We're 3 big-time fans of the NFL that would love to talk football with you, so feel free to leave us a comment, and we look forward from hearing from you. Thanks, guys.